Chapter 376. Xiao En's father used to be the president of the Songning Warrior Guild. He also went to school with his father in Songning for a few years. At that time, he was also studying in Songning No. 1 Middle School, and Cheng Minjing was his junior. At that time, he pursued Cheng Minjing, and the Qiao family hinted at the Cheng family to propose marriage, but it was rejected. Although his father was the president of the Songning Warrior Guild, Cheng Minjing had an engagement. At that time, the Xiao family had not yet declined. Naturally, the Cheng family would not agree to the Qiao family's marriage proposal. However, because of this matter, Xiao En's had always been brooding. Although with the improvement of his strength and status, Xiao En's had played with many women over the years, he was still brooding about Cheng Minjing, his first love. At this time, when he heard his men say that it was Cheng Minjing, he was suddenly shocked. Xiao Jin, did you see it clearly? Is it really Cheng Minjing? Xiao En's only saw a back view, not the front. It must be. We have been in school together for so many years. I was in her class at the beginning. The man named Xiao Jin said. His real name was Zhu Jin, and he was one of Xiao En's men. Both of them left Songning together. This kid's father was also a vice president of the Warrior Guild. Later, he followed Xiao En's father to the headquarters. Currently, he was also a small leader. Now he was living under Xiao En's. Who are those two men? Xiao En's looked at Xiao Chun and Lu Zhenming leaving together, so he asked. There were 3 women opposite. He didn't know which of the 2 men were the suitors or boyfriends of 2 of them. He didn't know if they had any relationship with Cheng Minjing. The one who left with the money seems to be Xiao Chun, Cheng Minjing's fiancé. Zhu Jin said, it should be him. Oh, Xiao Chun, didn't I hear that he and Cheng Minjing broke off their engagement? Why did it appear again? All these years, Xiao En's had been paying attention to the news of Cheng Minjing. She was a person that he could not forget. What he could not get was always the best. However, at that time, Xiao En's identity was similar to Cheng Minjing's, and their family backgrounds were similar. One was the head of the Songning aristocratic family, and the other was the president of the Songning Martial Artists Guild. But now, Xiao En's status was much higher than Cheng Minjing's. He had a condescending feeling. Who knows? I heard that Xiao Chun was kicked out of the family. Zhu Jin said. Senior brother Qiao. Didn't you see him asking Cheng Minjing for money when he was shopping? I guess he's a poor loser now. Really? Let's go and greet them. Xiao En's eyes flashed with disdain. If it was in the past, he probably wouldn't dare to openly snatch Xiao Chen's girlfriend. But now he wasn't afraid of anything. Do you need us to go over and help? Zhu Jin asked. Go downstairs and create some trouble for Xiao Chen? Yes, we can make him look bad. Damn, he dares to snatch senior brother Qiao's woman. He must be tired of living. Another man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks shouted. As the disciples of the Martial Artists Guild's law enforcement hall, they were usually arrogant and used to be arrogant. Usually, they were responsible for investigating those evil martial artists and assisting the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to arrest them. So they had more power. Moreover, they also had the power to investigate. To put it bluntly, it was a small Supernatural Investigation Bureau, under the dual leadership of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Martial Artists Guild. This agency was not like the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which often handled some high-end tasks. They were responsible for relatively easy and relatively low-level investigations. So Xiao En's currently felt that he was very powerful. In Songning City, no one dared to go against him. Even the president of the Martial Artists Guild, Chu Jingbian, had to be respectful when he saw him. Moreover, this guy was promoted after his father left, so he could be considered as one of his father's people. Xiao En's thought for a while and waved his hand. He then stood up and walked towards Cheng Minjing. Later on, you guys act according to the situation, but don't be too deliberate. Don't let others see through you. Wait for Xiao Chen to come back. Then you guys go over. For now, I can go over by myself. Don't worry, boss. Don't you know our level of underhanded methods? Zhu Jin smiled. Minjing? Xiao En's walked over and first called out tentatively. He didn't know if this person was Cheng Minjing. Cheng Minjing heard someone calling her. She was slightly stunned. She turned around and saw Xiao En's. However, she didn't know him, so she was a little confused. Are you calling me? Menjing, it's really you. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Don't you recognize me? I'm Xiao En's. Have you forgotten? Our two families used to eat together. Xiao En smiled and told Chung Menjing about the past. His face was full of memories and excitement. Ah, it's you, Brother Qiao. Chung Menjing finally remembered who the person in front of her was. At that time, the Qiao family and the Chung family were very close. As for Xiao En's, the young Chung Menjing still had some admiration for him. He was handsome and powerful. At a young age, he had the strength of stage 3 inner force. At that time, Chung Menjing had a very good impression of him. At that time, she even wondered why the family didn't agree to the marriage with the Qiao family, but the Xiao family. Anyway, she was going to marry someone. It was better to marry someone more pleasing to the eye. At that time, Xiao En's was indeed more pleasing to the eye than Xiao Chun. However, when she saw Xiao En's again, those feelings in her heart had already faded. After interacting with Xiao Chun for a long time, she found that Xiao Chun was a good person. It was just that she seemed to have misunderstood him in the past. But now, it seemed that in addition to his lack of strength, he was excellent in other aspects. Moreover, Chung Menjing was no longer a little girl. Her admiration for strength was not so strong. If she really admired strength, it was better to pursue the white fox. Wasn't the white fox more powerful? Hee, it seems that Menjing still remembers me. It really makes me happy. Xiao En suddenly laughed and said, Menjing, how are you now? I'm fine. Chung Menjing said. What about you? Where are you now? Me. I'm just hanging around in the headquarters of the Warrior Guild, as a minor leader of the Law Enforcement Hall. I just came back yesterday to investigate a case. I didn't expect to run into you here. I was thinking of paying you a formal visit, after I'm done with my official business. Uncle Chung. Xiao En's directly sat on the seat opposite of Chung Menjing that originally belonged to Xiao Chun. He turned around to look at Shen Jingxian and Jin Beibei and said, Shen Jingxian, Jin Beibei. Am I right? Yes, but there's nothing to brag about. As long as you're not a retard, you can remember. Jin Beibei said. Also, your seat is taken. Hee. Beibei, you're still such a joker. Xiao En's was dazed for a moment, but he did not mind that Jin Beibei's seat was taken. Then he regained his smile and said, Are you here to visit the Temple Street or the amusement park today? Oh, we're here to see an idiot, Jin Beibei said. Idiot? Xiao En's face slightly changed. Was Jin Beibei insulting him? He did not dare to do anything to Jin Beibei before. But now, he no longer cared about the Jin family, because of his identity and status. Therefore, he did not care about it at all. His face immediately turned gloomy. Jin Beibei, what did you say? Nothing. We ran into two idiots on the Temple Street just now. If you don't believe me, you can ask cousin Menjing. Why do you want to know everything? Gossipy. Jin Beibei said. Yes. There were two people who wanted to force me to buy something. Nothing. Chung Menjing nodded. Oh, haha. They are indeed idiots. Xiao En's did not think too much about it when he heard that it was not him. He said somewhat fascinated. Years ago, Menjing, we often had meals together. Let me treat you today. It's fate that we met again. That's unnecessary. I've already asked someone to buy the food, Chung Menjing said. Oh, forget it. I'll treat you alone next time. This fast food is not that good anyway. Xiao En's looked at Chung Menjing and smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with the joy of reuniting after a long time. Okay, let's talk about it when we have time. Chung Menjing and Xiao En's were not very familiar now. They were familiar before, but it did not mean that they were familiar now. She did not want the Chung family to misunderstand her every move. If Xiao En's came to the Chung family to propose marriage, her grandfather would definitely agree to it. However, she did not know why she used to want to break off the engagement with Xiao Chun, so that she could marry a man like Xiao En's. But now that she had broken off the engagement with Xiao Chun, she no longer had that thought. Dad and Uncle Xiao have said it to me. I have to listen to them. They definitely want me to marry Xiao Chun, so I'd better have less contact with Xiao En's. Otherwise, Once Chung Minjing released the signal that she was close to Xiao En's, it would not be good if the Chung family misunderstood it. Haha, okay. I just want to visit Uncle Chung and Grandpa Chung. I'll ask you to come with me. Xiao En smiled indifferently and said. He thought that Chung Minjing was reserved. While they were talking, Xiao Chun and Lu Zhenming came back from downstairs with plates of food. This fast food restaurant sold set meals. Xiao Chun randomly ordered a few kinds and brought them back. Anyway, with primordial qi, they would be delicious. Suddenly, Zhu Jin and Monkey Chin made a move. The two of them, one on the left and the other on the right, collided with Xiao Chun and Lu Zhenming. Obviously, they wanted to knock down the set meal in Xiao Chen's hand. Then, Xiao En's could smoothly invite Chung Minjing to eat. After all, it could be considered an apology. Bang! Zhu Jin and Xiao Chen collided violently. In fact, Xiao Chen saw Zhu Jin coming over with bad intentions before, but he did not care. Especially when he saw the person next to Chung Minjing, he knew that this person was coming for him. Moreover, he looked a little familiar. He must be an acquaintance from the past. After thinking about it for a while, he had an impression. The person sitting was called Xiao En's, and the person who collided was called Zhu Jin. Chapter 377. Zhu Jin and he were in the same class, and Xiao En's was in the senior grade. Xiao En's had pursued the young lady before. The meal in Xiao Chen's hands was not badly hurt. Xiao Chen steadied his hands, and the 3 meals in his hands were not spilled at all. After all, Xiao Chen was a cultivator, and his strength was much higher than the intruder's. The intruder was still too young to play such a trick on him. However, it was not so easy for Lu Zhenming. The 2 meals in Lu Zhenming's hands were directly knocked away. Zhu Jin and Monkey Chin's plan was that if Xiao En's and Chung Minjing bumped into each other, they would not be able to go with them even if they wanted to apologize. Then, Xiao En's would be able to have dinner with Chung Minjing alone. However, as expected, the 2 set meals in Lu Zhenming's hands did not buckle onto Lu Zhenming's body. Instead, they suddenly flew out diagonally. With 2 pung sounds, the 2 set meals, along with the soup and drinks, were all buckled onto Xiao En's head. F***ck. Who did this? Xiao En's was infuriated. He suddenly stood up and glared at Lu Zhenming and Xiao Chun. He was chatting with Chung Minjing when an unexpected disaster fell on his head. How could he bear it? He pointed at Lu Zhenming and said, "Do you want to die? Who are you? Are you out of your mind? They bumped into me. Go and find them." Lu Zhenming pointed at Zhu Jin and Monkey Chin and said, "Luckily I dodged in time. Otherwise, I would have buckled your head too. I don't know who these 2 bastards are messing around with. They must be trying to blackmail you. You've already been beaten up like this. This is intolerable. If it were me, I would have beaten them to death. Unless they're not men." Xiao Chen looked at Xiao En's with righteous indignation. Yes, Brother Qiao. This is absolutely intolerable. Jean Bebe chimed in. The 2 of them must have planned to frame Brother Qiao. Otherwise, why would they bump into someone when this place is so spacious? Xiao En's was rendered speechless by Xiao Chun and Jean Bebe. Yes, this was done by Zhu Jin and Monkey Cheek. The main responsibility was definitely on them. However, these 2 were his subordinates. How could he beat them up? Xiao En's knew that this was definitely a mistake. His subordinates wouldn't harm him. It could only be that he was unlucky. His expression was gloomy, and he didn't know what to say. "Senior Brother Qiao, I'm sorry. I was in a hurry to help them. I didn't expect that I would be so flustered." Monkey Chin said apologetically. "Yeah, let me help you." Zhu Jin quickly said to Xiao Chen. "Okay, take 1. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "It just so happens that I can't hold 3. Zhu Jin found a way out of the embarrassing situation. He breathed a sigh of relief and took a plate from Xiao Chen. However, as soon as he took the plate, he suddenly felt that the plate seemed to move and fly up directly. With a bang, it was buckled on Xiao En's head again. F***ck. Xiao En's was really angry this time. "Zhu Jin, what do you want to do?" I didn't want to do anything. Right, it's him. It must be him. He did it. He buckled it. He must be up to no good by holding it for me." Zhu Jin suddenly thought of something. He pointed at Xiao Chun and roared, Is there something wrong with you? Xiao Chen held a plate in one hand. What kind of skill do I have? I hold one in each hand, and then I can buckle the other one out. Do you have this skill? Xiao En's originally thought that Xiao Chen might have done it on purpose, but after listening to his explanation carefully, he suddenly felt that it was right. He was holding a plate in one hand. How could he buckle the other plate out? At least one more plate must be buckled in his hand. Because the third plate was on top of the other two plates in his hand, it was completely unrealistic. Zhu Jin thought about it, and it was indeed unrealistic, but he really didn't buckle it. At this moment he could only say, I'm sorry, senior brother Qiao. My hand slipped. Humph. Xiao En snorted coldly, and then said to Qing Minjing with some embarrassment, I'm sorry, Minjing. My two men are really skilled. I'm leaving first to change clothes. When things are over, I will call you. Oh, I may not have time. I have to go to school, Cheng Minjing said. In fact, you don't need to visit him. Your official business is more important. It's okay. I'll call you later, Xiao En said with a smile. Then he left quickly with his two stupid subordinates. After Xiao En's left, Jin Beibei looked at Xiao Chun and said with a smile, Brother-in-law, you are so awesome. Transformers are really awesome. What transformers? Shun Jingxian was slightly dazed, and she was startled again. She felt that Jin Beibei was quite weird today, and her words were full of innuendo. Did she mean that Xiao Chun was a Transformers, because he could turn into a white fox? It's the nickname that Jin Beibei gave to Xiao Chun. She said that he was awesome, and could not only be a servant, but also a detective. Cheng Minjing explained, Jingxian, just ignore her. Oh, Shun Jingxian nodded. She thought that it was fine as long as she was not talking about him. Because of the incident with Qiao En's, everyone's interest was not high anymore. After dinner they went home. In fact, this was also in line with Lu Jinming's idea. Lu Jinming was going to attend the summit in the evening, so he naturally wanted to leave early. After returning to the car, Xiao En's glared at his two subordinates. What's wrong with you two? Or are you warriors? Can't you even do such a small thing? This is a mistake, Zhu Jin and his monkey cheeks said bitterly. All right, stop wasting time. Let's go and find a bath center. I want to take a bath. This is 2F** King uncomfortable, Xiao En said angrily. Yes, senior brother Qiao. Zhu Jin quickly started the car. In the afternoon, Xiao En's appeared in the office of Chu Jingbian of the Warrior Guild in Songning City. Chu Jingbian received Xiao En's warmly. Although Xiao En's was his junior in the past, Xiao En's identity was completely different now. He was here to investigate a case, so Chu Jingbian had to be careful. Deacon Xiao, welcome, welcome. I have received the official letter from the Warrior Guild. Don't worry, I will fully cooperate with you, Chu Jingbian said directly. Well, I want all the information on the white fox. Give it to me, Xiao En said. All right, I have prepared it. Deacon Xiao, please take a look. With that said, Chu Jingbian handed Xiao En's a document about the white fox and said, It's all here. The official letter had already stated that Xiao En's and the others were here to investigate the death of Li Shannying and the information on the white fox. All right, Xiao En's actually did not want to care about this matter. When he saw the information on the white fox, he was indeed a member of the Devil Star sect. Moreover, he should be a relatively outstanding disciple. It was a little difficult for him to meet such a person. If he were to bring him for questioning, he might not necessarily cooperate with him. If he did not investigate and go back, the Li family would not be willing. Xiao En's was actually ambitious. He also wanted to fight for the position of president of the Warrior Guild in the future. Logically speaking, with Li Shanning's death, he should be happy that he had one less competitor. However, as a member of the Law Enforcement Hall, he had to give an explanation. If he did not bring back any information after coming here, wouldn't there be a problem with his ability? This would bring a stain to his future competition for the position of president, so he had to investigate and find out the reason. In fact, he also knew that the challenges of the summit were in line with the rules. What he needed to do was to investigate why the white fox killed Li Shannying so ruthlessly, or whether there was any enmity between him and Li Shannying before. Thinking of this, He carefully looked at the information in his hand and used his hand to knock the teacup on the table rhythmically, thinking about the connection. At this time, there was a knock on the door of Chu Jingbian's office. Chu Jingbian said, "Who is it? Please come in." "President Chu, it's me." The person who came in was Chen Huanling. As soon as he entered the door, he said, "President Chu, thank you very much for yesterday. By the way, did Hero White Fox say anything after he went back?" However, after saying that, he saw that there were still 3 people sitting in the room. He was stunned for a moment and was a little embarrassed. "President Chu, you have a guest. I'll take my leave first." "Okay, go do your work. We'll talk about this later." Chu Jingbian nodded. "Wait, come back here." Xiao Ins pointed at Chen Huanling and said, "Ah, you called me?" Chen Huanling was a little unhappy. "Who is this person? His tone is like an order. I'm not his subordinate. Does he think he's Chu Jingbian?" Seeing the displeasure in Chen Huanling's eyes, Chu Jingbian quickly introduced, "Huanling, this is Deacon Xiao from the Law Enforcement Hall of the Warrior Guild's Secular World Headquarters. He's here to investigate a case." "A Deacon Xiao? Hello. Chen Huanling was startled. He knew that the Law Enforcement Hall's deacons were all ruthless characters. Although they didn't dare to say that they could directly touch Chen Huanling, if they offended them, they could go back to the Warrior Guild and say that Chen Huanling was incompetent. It wouldn't be long before he was taken down. Chen Huanling hurriedly greeted Xiao Ins respectfully. You know White Fox? Why, are you familiar with him?" Xiao Ins asked. "Oh, that's okay." Chen Huanling didn't understand what Xiao Ins meant. He didn't know why he asked this question. Did he know about White Fox or something else? He hadn't seen the official letter yet, so he didn't know Xiao In's purpose. "What's on your mind?" Chu Jingbian glanced at Chen Huanling and reminded him to tell the truth. "Are you familiar with him or not? Then do you know why White Fox wanted to kill Li Shannying?" Xiao Ins asked. "If you know, then hurry up and tell me. Otherwise, you know the consequences if you don't report it." "Huh." Chen Huanling was stunned. Why did White Fox want to kill Li Shannying? It seemed that Xiao Ins was here to investigate White Fox. Thinking about how White Fox went to his house to cause trouble yesterday, he couldn't help but say angrily, "I know this." Chapter 378. "Oh, you know about it?" Xiao In's gaze fell on Chen Huanling. "Alright then, tell me. Is there something you're hiding? If you tell me well, you'll be handsomely rewarded." Chu Jingbian didn't want Xiao Ins to get involved in these emotional matters. Chu Jingbian was very smart. Xiao Ins couldn't represent the Warrior Guild, and he might not be investigating Li Shannying's death sincerely. After all, Xiao Ins was a beneficiary of Li Shannying's death. Chen Huanling didn't know anything, yet he rushed to take revenge just because White Fox humiliated him yesterday. His personality wasn't good. Thinking about how he had a good personal relationship with Chen Huanling, Chu Jingbian had to distance himself from him in the future. This man was too petty and vengeful. However, he couldn't stop Chen Huanling in front of Xiao Ins, so he could only let him continue. White Fox's girlfriend is called Shen Jingxian. She's from the Shen family of Zhenwu. On the first day of the summit, Li Shannying's opponent was Shen Jingmao. Only after Li Shannying injured Shen Jingmao did White Fox make a move. He stood up for the Shen family and killed Li Shannying. "That's the whole story," Chen Huanling said. "Oh, so White Fox's challenge was a personal matter, and not a fight between the righteous and demon sects?" Xiao In's eyes flickered as he asked. In fact, everyone knew in their hearts that the summit between the righteous and demonic factions was mostly caused by personal grudges and friction between the two factions. At this time, Xiao Ins brought out his personal grudges, which was obviously nonsense. His goal was to pin a crime on White Fox. However, Chen Huanling wasn't convinced. He also wanted White Fox dead. White Fox had humiliated the Chen family yesterday. He was the vice president of the Warrior Guild. If he didn't do anything after someone kicked his door, how could he live in the future? Now that he could use Xiao In's hand to teach White Fox a lesson, he was very happy to see it, so he added oil to the fire. I heard that at that time, Li Shannying had already admitted defeat, but White Fox still killed him to vent his anger. It's just that Li Shannying's mouth was beaten out of shape, and the words he spoke were unclear. Perhaps only White Fox, who was also in the arena, could hear him. No one else could hear him clearly. So in the end, the referee of the summit ruled that White Fox was not responsible. However, the details of this matter must be carefully considered. Yes, can you take responsibility for your words? Xiaoens nodded and asked. Yes, Chen Huanling replied in a firm voice. All right, if that's the case, I'll report it to the higher-ups. This White Fox has violated the Warrior Guild's taboo by using the summit as an excuse to vent her personal anger. Xiaoens was still speaking when a knock came from the door. What is it? Chu Jingbian asked. President Chu, there are 2 foreign warriors outside saying that they want to report a case. A disciple of the Warrior Guild said. Report? Let's talk about it later. I have a guest here. Chu Jingbian said. Who are they? Why do I have to receive them personally? Normally, there would be no need to look for the president of the Warrior Guild personally for a small matter. It was obvious that these 2 were not ordinary people. Therefore, after much consideration, Chu Jingbian decided to ask one more question. It's the people from the Golden Bell sect. They said that the White Fox was a busybody and bullied them, and injured them. The disciple said. Oh, let them in. Chen Huanling was overjoyed when he heard that. This is the law enforcement hall's deacon sent by the higher-ups to investigate the White Fox's case. He has the authority to ask about everything related to the White Fox, right? That's right. Let them in. Xiaoens was delighted to see Chen Huanling so obedient. He did not mind putting more crimes on the White Fox anyway. It would show how selfless he was. Although Li Shannying was his competitor, he did not gloat over his misfortune. Instead, he did his best to investigate the case, which would leave a good impression on the higher-ups. In fact, from Xiaoen's point of view, since Li Shannying was already dead, he could use this matter to show his ability. It was a worthy death. Seeing that the 2 of them had spoken, Chu Jingbian couldn't do anything about it. He thought that Chen Huanling was too talkative, so he could only nod and say, Let them in. Yes. The disciple retreated. Not long after, he came back with 2 people from the Golden Bell sect. They were Junior Brother Ma and Senior Brother Chu. Junior Brother Ma's injuries were not treated in time, or rather, he did not want to treat them. In any case, he had arrived miserably and appeared in front of these people. Tell me what's going on. This is the law enforcement hall's deacon of our Warrior Guild headquarters. If you have any grievances, he will definitely help you and uphold justice. Chen Huanling pointed at Xiaoens. Yes. Junior Brother Ma and Senior Brother Chu were overjoyed, especially Junior Brother Ma. He rolled his eyes and recounted his miserable experience with tears and snot streaming down his face. Although the story was roughly the same, it was completely distorted by him. We went to Temple Fair Street to buy a pair of binoculars, so we could watch the summit competition at night. However, who would have thought that we would be forced to buy a pair of binoculars for 10,000 yuan? President Chu, Vice President Chun, you are all locals. How can there be such an expensive price on Temple Fair Street? If this isn't extortion, then what is? Yes, that's a big market. There aren't many binoculars that cost more than 100 yuan. Chen Huanling nodded in agreement and gestured for him to continue. Right, Vice President Chen knows better. Junior Brother Ma nodded. Think about it. Even a normal person wouldn't be able to tolerate such a thing, let alone us, who are more skilled martial artists. So we got into an argument. Who would have thought that the White Fox would interfere? He beat me up just because he knew those scammers. Not only that, he extorted 20,000 yuan from me and beat me up like this. Not only that, he insisted on deducting 20 challenge points from us righteous sections. Do you think that's fair? We've been wronged. This White Fox is so tyrannical and shameless. Xiao En slammed the table in anger. I thought Li Shanning was an isolated case. It turns out that this has already aroused the public's anger. It seems that if we don't deal with this White Fox, we'll be in trouble. Yes, I've long heard that this White Fox is tyrannical. Chen Huanling nodded. Now, I suspect that my son Chen Jinping was killed by this White Fox. Oh, what? Your son was killed by him? Xiao Ins was stunned. Why? Sai, Isn't it because of that B** tch Xin Jingxian? She used to be my son, Chen Jinping's fiancée, but she hooked up with this white fox. I won't say much. Let me show you a video. I'll tell you as I watch. As he spoke, Chen Huanling took out his phone and played the video that Xie Chen sent to Xiao En's. Then, he told Xiao En's about what happened and how Chen Jinping was raped by a hoodlum. This white fox is so tyrannical. He's the scum of the martial artists. Xiao En's originally only wanted to fabricate a crime for the white fox. Who would have thought that after this investigation, there was no need to fabricate anything? This was all ready-made evidence. Yes, I think so too. Chen Huanling nodded bitterly. If we don't get rid of this person, it'll be difficult to appease the public's anger. However, I'm only the vice president of the Warrior Guild. How can I go against the Devil Star sect? Only an expert from the headquarters like Warden Xiao can suppress him. Xiao En's thought for a moment and instructed Chu Zhengbian. President Chu, send a notice to the Songming Summit now. Tell them that the Warrior Guild wants to investigate the White Fox. Tell them to stop all of the White Fox's competition qualifications and nullify all of his previous points. This isn't too good, right? Chu Zhengbian was a little hesitant. Warden Xiao, the Righteous Devil Summit is not under the jurisdiction of the Warrior Guild. Moreover, there are higher-ups from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Hong Consortium overseeing it. Hehe, you don't know about this, do you? Xiao En said faintly. There are some matters of the upper echelons that you may not be aware of. This deadly Shanying, the Colorful Li family, and the Hong Chamber of Commerce have an engagement. Think about it. If we help the Colorful Li family investigate the White Fox, the Hong Chamber of Commerce will definitely support us. Moreover, our law enforcement hall is also under the jurisdiction of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. To put it bluntly, we're like a subordinate organization who would go against their own people. Moreover, we're only investigating the White Fox. We're not trying to disrupt the summit, nor are we trying to control them. There's actually such a relationship. Chen Huanling was shocked. He slapped his thigh and said, that makes things easier. They're all on our side. President Chu, should I send a notice immediately? Since Warden Xiao has said so, I can only nod, Chu Zhengbian said helplessly, looking at Chen Huanling jumping up and down. He wondered why he hadn't realized that this person was so proactive in the past. All right, I'll go send the notice now. Chen Huanling stood up and walked out in a few steps. He was filled with resentment, so his words were very harsh. He directly stated that the Warrior Guild wanted to investigate the White Fox. What he meant was that they had to hand over this person and stop the competition. However, in his opinion, be it the Hong Consortium or the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, they were all on the same side. Of course, they wouldn't stop them. As for the two managing elders, they definitely wouldn't stop the Hong Chamber of Commerce and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. After all, the backing and background of these two organizations made them wary. Moreover, at the end of the day, it was the referee who had the final say on whether to stop a person from competing. Indeed, after receiving the notice, the Warrior Guild passed it on to Song Huawu and Hangzhou. Judges, what do you think? Elder Wang represented the righteous sects, so he naturally hoped that the White Fox would be disqualified from the competition and have all his points deducted. That would be beneficial to the righteous sections. I think we should cooperate with the Warrior Guild's investigation and disqualify this person from the competition. Chapter 379. Elder Wang, that's not right. That's just your side of the story. Are we supposed to cooperate with them if they want to investigate this today and that tomorrow? Is the summit still going to be held? What are we supposed to do if they ask us to leave? Elder Su represented the demon sect. Although White Fox had killed Leng Youxiang, the points earned by the demon sect were real. If it was cancelled, the points would be gone. He was naturally unwilling. Besides, there are two referees here. This is the decision of the referees. What does it have to do with us? Humph. Elder Wang snorted coldly, then smiled at Song Huawu and Hangzhou. What do the two referees think? Tell him to stay where he is. Don't interfere with the Righteous Demonic Summit. Does he think he can represent the Warrior Guild? If he doesn't want to do it anymore, I'll call someone to replace him. What law enforcement hall warden? I think he has nothing better to do, Hongzhu said indifferently. Elder Wang smiled bitterly. The person in front of him was really confident. The relationship between the Hong Chamber of Commerce and the Warrior Guild was very subtle. The people in charge of the two organizations had a good relationship, and he knew Hongzhu's identity. With a call from Hongzhu, Xiaoen's might really be kicked out. However, he also knew why Hongzhu would speak up for White Fox. After all, Hongzhu was also a member of the demon sect. Naturally, he would side with them. Therefore, this was not incomprehensible. It mainly depended on Song Huawu's attitude. If Song Huawu supported the Warrior Guild, there was still a chance. Team Leader Song, what do you think? Who's from the law enforcement hall? Xiaoen's? Is he crazy? Who does he think he is to order me around? Song Huawu snorted coldly. Reject him. Tell him to look for me if he has any problems. All right. Elder Su smiled after hearing that. That's it then. Elder Wang had no other choice. It seemed that the other party was not going to listen to him. He had thought that the Songming Summit would agree to his request without hesitation. However, he hadn't expected that his request would be rejected in less than 10 minutes. Chen Huanling was dumbfounded as he held the rejection notice. He had volunteered to do it, yet he had failed. How was he going to explain this to Xiao Ins when he returned? He was planning to rely on this big tree to see if there was any possibility of him rising in the future. Now that he couldn't even do the first thing well, how could he talk about the future? However, he did not dare to hide it, quickly took back the rejection notice, and said to Xiao Ins with a sullen face, President Chu, Deacon Xiao, this righteous and demonic summit directly rejected our proposal, you see. What? Rejected? Xiao Ins didn't quite believe it. What did they say? Didn't they go through 2 judges? Yes, these are the opinions of the 2 judges. Chen Huanling handed the rejection notice to Xiao Ins, then said with a wry smile, Deacon Xiao, look at what's written here. He didn't dare to read it out himself. After all, the wording was a little. Xiao Ins took a look at the rejection notice, and his face immediately turned red. Hongzhu's opinion was that he had affected the normal progress of the summit. If he wanted to quit, then he should just say so. She would suggest to the higher-ups of the Warrior Guild to replace him. Song Huawu's reply was that she didn't agree, and if there were any problems he could look for her. Although Song Huawu's attitude was not as unyielding as Hongzhu's, it seemed like she didn't agree either. Xiao Ins couldn't let go of his pride. He hesitated for a moment and said, You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. I will personally go to the summit to discuss some matters with Group Leader Song. Perhaps there are some things that can't be explained clearly in the document. Okay. Then shall we go together? Chen Huanling said. Okay, you guys come with me. Xiao Ins wanted to regain his pride. In his opinion, as long as he went to reason with Song Huawu and told the truth of the matter to her, with her personality, she should not stop him. The notice just now did not say what had happened to the White Fox, so it seemed normal that the summit had rejected it. If the Warrior Guild could casually disqualify someone from the competition, then it would be too much of a joke. Therefore, the 3 of them drove to the Zheng family's martial arts club with the 2 victims. In the workshop of the summit, they met Song Huawu, Hongzhu, and the 2 managing elders. Group Leader Song, Miss Hongzhu. Xiao Ins didn't dare to be careless. He understood Hongzhu's identity. In fact, he had always coveted Hongzhu's beauty and status. He was a little envious of Li Shanpao and Li Shaning. Why could the colorful Li family form a marriage alliance with the Hong Chamber of Commerce? But he couldn't. In the past, in Xiao In's opinion, being able to form a marriage alliance with Cheng Minjing was already good enough. But now, Cheng Minjing was just a lover in his eyes. He now had a higher goal to pursue. Of course, this was also because the Qiao family was different from the Li family. The Qiao family was one of the old families of the newly promoted Warrior Guild. It was different from an old family like the colorful Li family. The colorful Li family had been in the upper echelons of the Warrior Guild for several generations, while the Qiao family only had Xiao In's father. Well, Deacon Xiao, why did you come in person? I've seen the notice. It's not impossible to investigate, but it's impossible to directly disqualify White Fox from the competition and cancel his points, Song Hwawu said straightforwardly. Investigate what? Do you think you're the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, using a chicken feather as a token of authority? Why don't I get our Hong family's Hong Ing team to investigate you tomorrow? Arrest you? How about we have a big fight? Hong Zhu looked at Xiao In's disdainfully, not putting him in her eyes at all. In Hong Zhu's eyes he was just a small fry. Xiao In's expression was a little awkward. He ignored Hong Zhu. In his opinion, as long as Song Hwawu agreed, there wouldn't be any problems. Group leader Song, you don't know about White Fox's evil deeds. I'll explain it to you and you'll know. Oh, then go ahead. Song Hwawu naturally wouldn't deny Xiao In's the right to speak. She was still a very fair person. First, the matter of White Fox killing Li Shanying. Xiao In's told Song Hwawu about the matter. This matter is in line with the rules of the competition. It's a result that referee Hong Zhu and I unanimously determined. You mean that the result that we determined was wrong and unfair? You want to investigate both of us? Song Hwawu asked directly after listening. Xiao In's actually knew that this matter couldn't be justified if it was exposed. But he didn't want this matter to change Song Hwawu's attitude. Hence he said, of course this is only what I heard. If group leader Song says that there's no problem, then there's definitely no problem. But putting this matter aside, there's another matter. White Fox has already aroused public anger. What else is there? Song Hwawu asked. Also, White Fox is bullying the market, forcing people to buy and sell. It's like this. Xiao In's told her about the matter at Temple Street. A telescope costs 10,000 yuan. Is that telescope made of gold? Oh, there's such a thing. Song Hwawu was stunned. She felt that Xiao Chun was in need of money, but using this kind of method to earn money was really a little overbearing. Is this true? It's true. The people involved are here too. Xiao Ma, tell me about it. As he spoke, Xiao In's asked Chen Jinping to invite the two victims at the door in. Yes, it's like this. Xiao Ma rambled on, adding oil to the fire. Oh. Song Hwawu frowned. Although her relationship with Xiao Chun was not bad, she couldn't bring herself to openly side with him. I know about that telescope. 10,000 yuan for one is not wrong. At this moment Hong Zhu spoke. The price of that telescope is 30 yuan. But because it's to be sold in the Warrior Guild, it has to be authorized by the Hong family. It has to be pasted with the logo of the Hong Consortium's Chamber of Commerce. We charge 5,000 yuan for each logo. Her telescope is priced at 10,000 yuan. It's also registered with the Hong Consortium's Chamber of Commerce. Xiao Ma, right? It's normal to spend 10,000 yuan to buy a telescope. Why? Do you think it's expensive? Do you think that the Hong Consortium is forcing you to buy and sell? Fine. Then I'll inform everyone that the Hong Consortium, in the secular world, will no longer do business with you. Go buy from other consortiums. And that Golden Bell sect, put them on the blacklist as well. Ah, the others. Xiao Ma was so scared that he wet his pants. It was one thing for him to be blacklisted, but if the entire Golden Bell sect was blacklisted, his master would hang him up and beat him to death when he returned. Miss Hong, please don't listen to junior brother Ma's nonsense. This is the truth. Senior brother Chu was also scared. He hurriedly told Song Hwawu everything that had happened. Xiaoens, these are your so-called people involved? Distorting the truth? Song Hwawu was a little speechless. She sneered at Xiao Ma and senior brother Chu. I was also deceived. These two bastard sons of bitches, get the hell out of my sight. Xiaoens was so angry that he kicked junior brother Ma's, but kicked him out of the room. Junior brother Ma's injuries hadn't healed in the first place. Now that he was kicked, he cried out in pain. Senior brother Chu also hurriedly ran out to support him. Look, even you want to kick this kind of scum to death. Not to mention White Fox, who saw injustice and stood up for him. Song Hwawu said calmly. So, this is your evidence? That doesn't count. But there's one more thing. And that is that we must investigate White Fox. Xiao In's gritted his teeth and staked everything on this one throw. There's detailed evidence for this. What is it? Song Hwawu felt a headache coming on. This Ins really knew how to stir up trouble. The moment he arrived, he came up with so many things. Moreover, it was one thing if these things were true, but he was obviously making them up. Chapter 380. Here's what happened. White Fox's girlfriend, Shen Jingxian, used to be the son of Songming Martial Guild's vice president Chen Huanling. Ins threw out his most ruthless move. In his opinion, the evidence was irrefutable. Moreover, the person involved in this matter, Vice President Chen Huanling, is also here. Vice President Chen, your son was killed by White Fox. Song Huawu looked at Chen Huanling and asked. That's right. Chen Huanling gritted his teeth. He wanted to kill White Fox anyway, so he had no choice but to support Ins. What evidence do you have? Song Huawu asked. Of course I have evidence. Please take a look, Team Leader Song. As Chen Huanling spoke, he took out his phone and showed Song Huawu all the video evidence on it. Song Huawu looked at Chen Huanling and said, So you're saying that Chen Jinping wasn't the one who raped Shen Jingxian, so he must have been killed by White Fox? What kind of logic is that? There's no one else. Chen Huanling gritted his teeth. He's the biggest suspect, so I asked the Martial Guild's Law Enforcement Hall to investigate him. Investigate him just because he's the biggest suspect. Song Huawu said coldly. Then I think that since you're framing someone else, you can forget about being a vice president. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau will investigate you. You're too selfish and you're abusing your power. I'll have my men take you away later. You. How dare you? Chen Huanling was furious. Because you're a scoundrel and distorting the facts, Song Huawu said indifferently. Team Leader Song, isn't that against the rules? Ins was about to explode. He was here to investigate White Fox, so how did he end up investigating Chen Huanling? It wasn't that he couldn't tell that Chen Huanling wanted to rely on him. He had also hinted that he would accept Chen Huanling. However, in the blink of an eye, Chen Huanling had become a prisoner and was about to be investigated. How could this be? How could he still establish his authority? Would he still want others to rely on him in the future? He was a young talent who was about to become the president of the Martial Guild. Is it in line with the rules for you to investigate the White Fox? Song Huawu asked. At least the current evidence points to White Fox, proving that Chen Jinping was killed by White Fox, Xiaoen said. What evidence? The so-called evidence could only prove that Shen Jingxian was not raped by Chen Jinping. Were there any other facts? Why didn't I see it? And there's no sign of a White Fox here. How did you point that out? Song Huawu couldn't help but be amused. Xiaoens, can you be more realistic? If you can't investigate this matter, you can go back. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau doesn't need a law enforcement deacon like you. Team Leader Song, I've already said that it's just a suspicion. Currently he's the biggest suspect. That's undeniable. But do you mean that we have to stop him? Xiaoen's expression was a little ugly. It's not an obstruction. Chen Jinping wasn't killed by White Fox at all. I've already been investigating this matter, and there's already a result. I'm about to take action, but there's a problem in the middle, Song Huawu said. You investigated it? Was there a result? You're about to take action, and then there's a problem? Team Leader Song, your excuse is hilarious enough. Why did you say that you're about to take action when I came to ask? And there's still a problem? Dare I ask what the problem is? Do you dare to say it openly in front of everyone? Xiaoens was also anxious. He came this time. If he couldn't find out the reason, and left with his tail between his legs, then he would lose face when he returned to the Warrior Guild. So he directly shed all pretense of cordiality. Anyway, the Law Enforcement Hall was managed by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. But the other departments of the Warrior Guild didn't have any direct relationship. At worst, he could just go back and transfer to another department. She wouldn't be able to target him then. But now, he absolutely couldn't back down. Otherwise, how would Chen Huanling, who had just defected, look at him? How would the other competitors of the president of the Warrior Guild look at him? So even if he had to argue with Song Huawu, he had to get to the bottom of this matter. Of course, it's not a big deal. Song Huawu said. Otherwise, you'll think that I'm just brushing you off. Well, if that's the case, then show me the evidence. Let me see what it is. Xiao En said. Song Huawu took out her mobile phone, dialed a number, and said to the other side, "Bring me all the investigation information on Chen Jinping's death." Not long after, two of Song Huawu's subordinates, who were also members of Team C, came to the office. They were holding a laptop in their hands. In front of everyone, the laptop was turned on, and a surveillance video was played on it. The video showed the entrance of Tsilu Street 18, where Chen Jinping's Land Rover was. After Chen Jinping parked the car, a man got in the car. Then the car vibrated a few times, and the man got out of the car and quickly left. Everyone knew what this man did. He must have gotten in the car and killed Chen Jinping. After that, until Shen Jinghao and Chen Huanling appeared at the door of the villa, no one got out of Chen Jinping's car, nor did anyone get in. In this way, the suspect could only be the person who got in and got out of the car. Li Shanning. Chen Huanling's eyes were about to burst into flames. He did not expect that the real murderer, who killed his son, was actually Li Shanning. But why? Why did Li Shanning kill Chen Jinping? What was the reason? Li Shanning killed Chen Jinping? Xiao En's face immediately changed. He never thought that he would find out that Li Shanning was a murderer when he came to investigate the cause of Li Shanning's death. To say that White Fox killed Li Shanning was actually in line with the rules. At the summit, life and death were not counted. If you died, it could only be said that you were not skilled enough. However, killing people in the secular world was against the rules of martial arts. Why did you assassinate Chen Jinping for no reason? Yes, so you should have seen it. Originally, after I investigated, I planned to control Li Shanning. However, because of the summit, we suspended the action and planned to do it after the summit. Who would have thought that Li Shanning would die at the summit? This is what I call an accident. Song Huawu said. Now you understand why I said that it had nothing to do with White Fox, right? This, Xiao En's was really speechless. He looked at Chen Huanling with some resentment. *CK your mother. White Fox helped you to avenge Li Shanying's death, so he's your family's benefactor. Yet you jumped out and spouted nonsense. In the end, I was bewitched by you and thought that White Fox was the one who killed Chen Jinping. I even helped you to avenge him, but in the end I got slapped in the face. And it was a slap. He thought that the final trump card was the cause of Chen Jinping's death. Who would have thought that it would become a joke? Deacon Xiao, do you have anything else to say? Song Huawu asked. No. Xiao En smiled bitterly. His smile was uglier than crying. He really did not have the face to stay here anymore. He hated Chen Huanling to the core. He looked at him and said angrily, Chen Huanling, take the blame and resign. I don't want to see you again. Deacon Xiao, this. I was also kept in the dark. I didn't know before. Chen Huanling was a little confused. It's fine if you don't resign, but you can solve this matter for me. Xiao En snorted and got up to leave. Now he could not continue investigating White Fox, no matter what, unless someone stronger pushed for it, or he obtained more absolute evidence. However, for now, he had neither, so he could only leave with his tail between his legs. Chen Huanling was a little sluggish. He looked at Chu Jingbian and said carefully, President Chu, let's go back first. Chu Jingbian also expected better from Chen Huanling. This guy was so disgraceful that even the Songning Martial Guild was disgraceful. Then Chu Jingbian looked at Song Huawu and Hong Zhu and said, Team Leader Song, Miss Hong, we will take our leave first. Let's go. This Chen Huanling has evil intentions. I will have someone investigate him. Song Huawu said indifferently. I don't. Chen Huanling staggered and nearly fell to the ground to his death. If he was investigated, he would lose a layer of skin even if he did not die. Although he might not have done anything major, he still sought some benefits for the Chen family. If this was investigated, he would definitely lose his position as vice president. However, Song Huawu did not look at him. Chu Jingbian pulled Chen Huanling away and left the summit office with his tail between his legs. When these people left the office, Song Huawu also planned to leave. However, she was stopped by Hong Zhu. Song Huawu, wait. I have something to talk to you about. Song Huawu was slightly taken aback. She looked at Hong Zhu. Talk to me? What is it? Speak. Let's find a place with no one around, Hongju said. Elder Wang, don't the two of us still have things to do? Let's go, we have something to do. Elder Su stood up and said in a very sensible manner. Elder Wang nodded. He was naturally aware that Hongju had something to say behind their backs. Therefore, he left together with Elder Su. After they left, Song Huawu said, Can you speak now? Yes, you know Xiaochen? Hongju suddenly asked. Song Huawu was taken aback. Her expression changed slightly. However, she soon smiled and asked, You know him too, right? He same to you. No wonder. Hongju said with a smile. Yeah, no wonder you didn't oppose me this time, Song Huawu said. If you keep talking about Xiaochen in the future, I definitely won't oppose you, Hongju said. You like him. You're the one who likes him. Song Huawu glared at Hongju. Yeah, I like him. Otherwise, how could I have made him help me kill Li Shanpao and Li Shanying? Hongju said with a grin. Chapter 381. Shameless. Song Huawu snorted. Demonic witch. Arrogant. Did you ask him to kill him? He did it for his girlfriend, didn't he? I did it too. Hongju looked at Song Huawu with a smile. What, are you jealous? Who's jealous of you? I'm his deskmate, Song Huawu said. Oh, Hongju suddenly realized. Team leader Song, you're playing a school romance game now, and you're saying you don't like it? I'm investigating a case, Song Huawu said. Whatever you say. Hongju looked like he didn't believe her. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Song Huawu was a little speechless. Go. People with a guilty conscience leave quickly, Hongju said. Are you crazy? I won't leave then. Let's see if you leave. Song Huawu sat there and didn't move. I won't leave either. Hongju sat opposite Song Huawu, and the two stared at each other. After a while, Song Huawu started playing with her phone. Hongju was bored and started singing. You're my little Hongju. No matter how smart you are, it's never too much. You're my little Huawu. No matter how smart you are, it's never too much. Song Huawu also sang. When they returned to the warrior guild, Qiao En's immediately left. Chu Jingbian didn't know where Qiao En's went, but he didn't dare to ask. When they returned to the office, Chen Huanling's tears and snot were all over his face. He kept holding on to Chu Jingbian, hoping that he could come up with some ideas. President Chu, I was just muddle-headed. Now, not only have I offended Song Huawu, but I've also offended Qiao En's. What do you think I should do? Chen Huanling looked at Chu Zheng with tears in his eyes. Aren't you reaping what you sow? Chu Jingbian was also a little angry. Why did you get involved? Now you're in trouble, aren't you? She didn't care about you at all. And now she wants you to resign. Aren't you asking for trouble? Yesterday, I told you not to provoke the white fox. The truth might not be so. Look, Deacon Xiao is probably thinking that you're an ungrateful person who knew about the situation and deliberately hid it from you. That's right. But I really don't know. Chen Huanling said with a bitter face. President Chu, you know me. I've always been on your side. You can't just ignore me this time. I've done my best to help you. So please help me. The Chen family can't do without me, the vice president. Otherwise, the Chen family will be finished. Sigh. Chu Jingbian felt pity for Chen Huanling when he saw him like this. Chen Huanling was right. Although what he did wasn't very proper, Chen Huanling had always been very obedient. Among the vice presidents of the warrior guild, he was the closest to Chu Jingbian. Thinking of this, Chu Jingbian hesitated for a moment before saying, Like I said last time, don't you have an illegitimate son? See if you can let him acknowledge his ancestors. That way, your Chen family won't be without descendants, and your status will be guaranteed. But will they care about me? Chen Huanling's expression was a little painful. If I'm heartlessly rejected, where do you think I'll put my old face? If you don't want to try, then there's nothing I can do. You know, although I'm the president of the Songming Warrior Guild, you're the vice president. I don't have much say in your appointment and dismissal. Now the pressure from Qiao En's is a small matter. After all, this is only an internal problem of the Warrior Guild. When the time comes, I'll put in a good word for you. I'm afraid there won't be too much of a problem, Chu Jingbian said. But if the Supernatural Investigation Bureau wants to deal with you, you know the consequences. Those people can interfere as long as it's a warrior's matter. Why did you offend Song Huawu for no reason? Sigh. Chen Huanling sighed. I'll think about it and discuss it with my father. All right, but for the time being, before the dust settles, you should rest at home. Don't come to the Warrior Guild, Chu Jingbian said. This is also a kind of protection for you. I understand. Chen Huanling left the Warrior Guild dejectedly. Xiao En's was also very sullen. He did not expect to have such a bad start. When he returned to the hotel, he immediately called his father Xiao Gao. "And how is it? Did the investigation come to a conclusion?" Xiao Gao's voice was very relaxed. After all, in his opinion, this kind of matter only needed to come to a conclusion, and then let White Fox suffer a little. As for killing White Fox, Xiao En's did not have that ability. What the Warrior Guild wanted was a result that could make the Colorfully family stop. Therefore, this mission seemed difficult, but it was actually very simple. "Dad, there's a problem," Xiao En said. He explained the situation, and then took the initiative to apologize. "I was reckless." "Oh." Xiao Gao frowned. He did not expect Hong Zhu and Song Huawu to obstruct him. It seemed that things were not going to be easy to handle. After thinking for a while, he said, "Actually, this matter is not your fault. There are too many problems. I did not expect that Li Shaniying to be the murderer of Chen Jinping. This is a vicious cycle. How about this? Don't be in a hurry to close the case. Write a detailed report and submit it. The Colorfully family has seen what Li Shaniying did, so they will not force you to close the case as soon as possible. After all, they are also in the wrong. You can stay in Songning City for a while. If there is a chance, continue the investigation. If there is no chance, I guess it will be left unsettled." But if it is left unsettled, will it affect my reputation? When the time comes, people will think that I am incompetent and can't investigate anything. Xiao En's was a little worried. "Didn't you say to wait for the opportunity?" Xiao Gao said. "But don't expect the Warrior Guild to send experts to suppress that White Fox. After all, he is from the Demonic Star sect, not a rogue cultivator. You are going against the Demonic Star sect and the Demonic sect. The best way is to wait for the summit to end, then think of a way to see if there are other breakthroughs." "I understand. In this period of time, I will visit the Chung family first?" Xiao En's thought for a while and asked. "Yes, but between you and Chung Minjing, it's okay to play, but forget about it. I've already arranged a marriage for you," Xiao Gao said. "Oh, who is it?" Xiao En's was stunned. "You will know in the future. Right now, it is still in the midst of negotiations, so it is better for you not to know. Just focus on your work." When Xiao Gao said this, he couldn't help but feel a little proud. The higher-ups might let me take over the position of the Warrior Guild's executive vice president. If I really succeed, then our Qiao family will surpass the Colorfully family. So, after this period of delay, if I successfully take over, not only will there be no problem with your marriage, but the Colorfully family will also not make things difficult for you. They will lay low and bear with Li Shaniying's matter." "Ah, really? There is news already?" Xiao En's was instantly overjoyed. As long as his father could take the position of the Warrior Guild's executive vice president, then as long as he stabilized this position in the future, his strength would rise steadily. At that time, he could definitely fight for the position of vice president or president, because at that time, his father should be able to be promoted to the position of elder and enter the Elder Council. That would be the ultimate peak of power in the Warrior Guild. Currently, the reason why the Colorfully family was so powerful was because they had an elder who was still in the Elder Council. However, it was said that because he had been injured in his early years, his health was not particularly good. In other words, he would be passing away in a few years, so the Colorfully family would not make things too difficult for the Qiao family. "Yes, so Ens, you don't have to worry too much. Just do your own things," Xiao Gao said. "All right, I understand." Xiao Ens happily hung up the phone. In his heart, he was thinking about how to use this matter to persuade old Master Chung to let Chung Minjing become his concubine. Of course, this concubine was a legitimate concubine. In the world of martial artists, ancient martial arts customs were maintained. So it was very normal to marry a wife and take a concubine. After returning home, Xiaochen did not directly go to the Zheng family's martial arts dojo. Instead, he rested in his room. However, while resting, he received a call from Hongzhu. Hongzhu. Xiaochen picked up the phone. Xiaochen, I have something to tell you. Hongzhu said. Just now, someone from the law enforcement hall came to the headquarters of the Warrior Guild. His name is Xiao Enz. He is investigating you. What? Xiao Enz investigated me? Is he retarded? He is my former classmate. Why would he investigate me? Xiao Chun was a little puzzled. This person clearly knew his background, so why would he investigate him? Did he have amnesia or something? He is your classmate? Hongzhu was suddenly stunned. It can't be so coincidental, right? What I mean is that he is investigating your other identity, the White Fox, not Xiao Chen's identity. Oh, if that's the case, then why is he investigating the White Fox? Xiao Chen finally understood. It turned out that he was investigating the White Fox, not him. There are 3 reasons, but the main reason is that you killed Li Shannying. Hongzhu explained the 3 reasons to Xiao Chen, including the fact that Chen Jinping was killed by Li Shannying. This surname Chen doesn't know how to thank me for avenging Chen Jinping, and even tried to frame me. He deserves to be suspended. After listening, Xiao Chen could not help but say, then did Xiao Enz give up just like that? I don't know, but there is no point in continuing to investigate, unless he sends experts to take coercive measures against you. But it should not be possible. Hongzhu said. He doesn't have the ability or the need to do so. Oh, I was wondering why this person suddenly appeared in Songning City. So he came because of me. Xiaochen nodded, a bit of precaution in his heart. Alright, that's all I'm telling you. Song Huawu may call you again in a while. Let me tell you, you should be careful of her. Her background is a bit complicated, so don't get too close to her. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Hongzhu reminded. Chapter 382. Isn't your background even more complicated? The little princess of the Hong Chamber of Commerce? Xiaochen said. Which one of you isn't complicated? You know. Did Yi Bai tell you? Hongzhu was taken aback for a moment before guessing. I'm fine. You can pursue me as you please. I'm single right now. Forget it. I already have a girlfriend, Xiaochen said. But my fiancé was killed by you. Shouldn't you compensate me a little? Hongzhu suddenly countered with a question. Your fiancé? Who? Xiaochen was slightly taken aback. What a mess. Your fiancé is Li Shannying? Or Leng Youxiang? He had only killed 2 people recently, and one of them was related to Hongzhu? But Hongzhu didn't seem to care about it. Why would he inform him? Li Shandiao, also known as Li Shanpao, Hongzhu said. Do you remember now? Oh, it's him. Xiaochen finally remembered. He had heard that Li Shanpao had a very powerful fiancée, but he hadn't met her and thought that it was fine. He didn't expect it to be Hongzhu. His family is so weak. You are the princess of the Hong Chamber of Commerce. Why did you marry him? It was decided when the colorful Li family was at its peak. At that time, the leader of the colorful Li family was the president of the Warrior Guild, who is also one of the current elders of the Elders Guild. But he's about to die, Hongzhu said. Besides, the Xiao family is so weak. Why did you get engaged to the Chung family? There must be some historical reason. Oh, Xiaochen nodded. He suddenly thought of something. That night, the female assassin was you? It was me. Xiaochen did not expect Hongzhu to admit to it so straightforwardly. Originally, I was thinking that even if I, Hongzhu, do not like it, my fiancé cannot be casually killed by others. So, I came to you to test things out. And then I found out that I did something good for you. Xiaochen suddenly realized that he seemed to have become the fiancé killer. Stealing other people's fiancés. Li Shanpao and Li Shannying were like that. And so were Chen Jingquan and Chen Jinping. Good my ass, shouldn't you compensate me a little? Hongzhu said. How are you going to compensate me? I can't compensate you with me, Xiaochen said. In your dreams. If you marry me, Your status in the Hong family's Chamber of Commerce will rise exponentially. If our Hong family works hard, you will be able to become the president of the Warrior Guild. Hongzhu curled his lips. You still haven't reached my standards. Work hard and let me see. Forget it. I'll work hard to help you make money, Xiaochen said. That's exactly what I mean. If you help me earn some money, we'll be even. Hongzhu said with a nod. After hanging up the phone, Xiaochen was about to pack up and head to the Zheng family martial arts dojo when his phone rang again. It was Song Huawu. With a wry smile, Xiaochen picked up the phone. Song Huawu, what's up? You're not going to tell me about Hongzhu, are you? How did you know? Song Huawu was slightly taken aback, but immediately understood. By the way, your phone has been busy just now. It can't be that she called you, right? Let me tell you, you have to be careful when dealing with her. She's a demoness who eats people without spitting out the bones. Don't rush up to her just because she's pretty. She's scarier than Yi Xiaoya. Xiaochen didn't know what to say. Why was it that in Song Huawu's eyes, Hongzhu seemed to be a demoness who ate people without spitting out the bones? Previously, Yi Xiaoya had also described Hongzhu in the same way. However, Yi Xiaoya didn't seem to be scary at all. A what? I'm saying something nice to you. Listen. Song Huawu said. Do you know Hongzhu's real identity? Her background is very complicated. She's the granddaughter of the Hong family's Chamber of Commerce, and her position in the Devil's Sect isn't low either. She's a popular candidate for the next Devil's Sect saintess. Don't provoke her, or you won't even know how you died. Oh, Xiaochen replied. What's wrong with you? Did you listen to me? Song Huawu asked. I listened, Xiaochen said. Then what did you say? Song Huawu was a little depressed. Hongzhu said that your background is more complicated and told me to stay away from you. Who should I listen to? Xiaochen said with a bitter smile. Her. She's lying to you. I don't have any background. I'm just the deputy leader of Team C. Song Huawu said. I don't have a shocking background like her. That's why I'm not going to listen to anyone. That's it, Xiaochen said. Do whatever you want. However, you have to pay attention to that Xiaoen's. Hongzhu should have already told you, right? I know this person. His father has a high position in the Warrior Guild. I'm afraid he won't let this go. Song Huawu reminded him. After you attend the summit, disappear for a while. Don't let anyone get hold of you. I understand. Xiaochen nodded. The Warrior Guild still cares about this kind of thing? Do they have nothing better to do? It's just that Li Shanying's background is more powerful. In short, it's not a big mistake to be careful. Song Huawu said. Okay, I understand. Xiaochen responded. However, he was not too worried. At most, the identity of White Fox would remain silent for a while. After hanging up the phone, Xiaochen drank the decocted medicinal liquid and trained for a while. After the medicinal effect had taken effect, he bid farewell to the eldest miss and went to the Zheng family dojo. Today was also the last day of the Songming summit. Xiaochen sat in his previous seat. Yi Xiaoya also arrived at this time. Hey, you went out early in the morning. Why are you only back now? Yi Xiaoya asked. Something came up. How was it today? Did anyone cause trouble for you at the summit? Xiaochen asked. He was afraid that Leng Youxiang's accomplices would cause trouble for Yi Xiaoya. Not really. Besides, I was in my room the whole day. Who would cause trouble for me? Yi Xiaoya said. You didn't cause trouble again, did you? Not really. It's just that the Warrior Guild has investigated me for killing Li Shanying yesterday. Xiaochen said. Why should I? Yi Xiaoya asked back. One of Li Shanying's elders is from the Warrior Guild headquarters. Anyway, the relationship is a little messy, but it doesn't matter. Xiaochen shook his head. For the time being, there's nothing to worry about. Song Huawu blocked him. Oh, Yi Xiaoya nodded. After the summit, hide for a while. Appear again when the limelight is over. I think so too. After the summit, I plan to seize the time to practice for a while. Can I find you? Xiaochen asked. Yi Xiaoya glared at Xiaochen. Naturally, she knew what he was thinking. But the matter of dual cultivation was also very beneficial to Yi Xiaoya. It was just that it was a little awkward for the two of them to practice together. Especially Yi Xiaoya's mental cultivation method was of the fire attribute. If she practiced the mental cultivation method too fast, it would cause her clothes to spontaneously burn. At that time, Xiaochen would take advantage of her eyes. But thinking about it, it was not the first time that he saw it, so Yi Xiaoya said, "We'll talk about it when the time comes." The competition of the summit began. The rules were the same as yesterday, and the challengers were randomly selected. After several rounds of competition, Yi Xiaoya entered the arena. Her opponent was a warrior of the Tang family of Zhen Wu, who was at the peak of level 5 internal force strength. He was from the Tang family of Zhen Wu, which was the main family of Tang's family. If Yi Xiaoya fought with the martial artist of the Tang family at the peak of the 5th level, the victory would be 50-50. But now, after the dual cultivation with Xiao Chun, Yi Xiaoya had reached the strength of the devil cultivator at the 6th level of internal force. She could easily suppress her opponent. Sure enough, Yi Xiaoya won the final victory. In fact, there was no suspense. After Yi Xiaoya came back, Xiaochen congratulated her. "Are you praising me or insulting me? I'm not proud of defeating a martial artist at the peak of the 5th level of internal force." Yi Xiaoya smiled helplessly and said, "It's all thanks to my breakthrough. Otherwise, it's hard to say who would be the winner." Xiaochen nodded. The rules of the competition were not very reasonable. But in the world of martial artists, there was no such thing as fair and reasonable. The next match, challenger number 17, representing the devil sect White Fox, versus challenger number 2 Yu Danding. Whoosh, the audience was in an uproar. They hadn't expected the White Fox to fight again. At this time, everyone remembered that the White Fox's 2 matches yesterday were arranged battles, and not randomly drawn by the officials. And now, the White Fox's opponent was the second strongest of the summit, Yu Danding. In the eyes of these people, this battle would definitely be very exciting. After all, the White Fox's skills were so powerful yesterday. Even Li Shanying and Leng Youxiang had died at the hands of the White Fox. Today, it would still be a battle between experts. If White Fox's opponent was a 5th-level inner force martial artist, or if Yu Danding's opponent was a 5th-level inner force martial artist, there would be no meaning in this match because there was no suspense in the outcome. But now, everyone was full of anticipation. Xiaochen was also a little surprised. He did not expect to face Yu Danding, but he still got up and jumped into the arena. On the other side, Yu Danding also walked into the arena. He was a person who looked similar to Yu Xiaochuan. After he came up, his eyes were fixed on Xiaochen. A moment later, to everyone's surprise, Yu Danding said, "I admit defeat." Everyone below the ring was stunned, including Xiaochen himself. He had not expected Yu Danding to admit defeat right away. Furthermore, he had done it so cleanly and decisively. He had not even tested it before spitting out those 3 words. In fact, Yu Danding had his own considerations. Like Li Shanying and Leng Youxiang, he was a person of status. He was the most likely person to become the leader of the martial arts world in the next few decades. The leader of the righteous sects was called the leader of the martial arts world. His status was equivalent to the leader of the devil sect, so Yu Danding would not risk his life. Chapter 383. In the current Jianghu of the secular world, there were 4 publicly recognized top organizations, all of which were targets that all martial artists strive to reach. There were the leaders of the martial arts world of the orthodox sects, the leader of the demonic sects, the president of the warrior guild, and the president of the Hong Chamber of Commerce. Of course, the last one was hereditary, and outsiders had no chance. However, they were recognized as the 4 most powerful people in Wulin. Of course, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was also very powerful, and they even governed all the martial artists in the secular world. However, this organization was an official organization, and they rarely participated in the fights of the martial arts world. They would only take action when one side violated the rules. Therefore, when Li Shanying and Leng Youxiang died at the hands of the White Fox last night, Yu Danding secretly prayed that he would not run into an opponent like the White Fox. However, He did not expect his luck to be so good today. The more he did not want to run into an opponent, the more he ran into one. However, he quickly made a decision, and that was to admit defeat. He could not see through White Fox. Although his strength might be similar to his, at the peak of Stage 8 inner force, it was a fact that he was stronger than Leng Youxiang. Yu Danding knew that he was no match for Leng Youxiang, so he was even less of a match for White Fox. Therefore, he chose to admit defeat cleanly. "Thank you for letting me win." Xiao Chen instantly understood the reason, and secretly thanked his luck. Otherwise, even if he could have won, it would not have been easy. After all, his strength was similar to Yu Danding's. If he wanted to win, he would probably have had to use some of the techniques of a cultivator. In this match, challenger number 2, Yu Danding, admitted defeat, so challenger number 17, White Fox, wins. Elder Su announced. He was the happiest. The demonic sects were powerful, and he also felt proud. Based on the current development, the demonic sects were undoubtedly going to win. Xiao Chen raised his hands and accepted the cheers of the victors below the stage. Although this victory had come too easily, on second thought, it was also because he had revealed his strength yesterday that he could win so easily today. Shen Jingshuan's mood was a little complicated. Looking at Xiao Chen on the stage, she knew that Xiao Chen had gradually reached the peak of his life. At least in Songming City, he rarely had opponents. He was no longer the useless Xiao Chen of the past. At that time, he didn't cherish him and didn't like him. Now that he was so dazzling, there must be countless people who liked him. Faintly sighing, Cheng Minjing was a bit confused. "Jingxian, why are you unhappy? The White Fox won, and it was so easy. You should be happy." "What does my happiness have to do with me?" Shen Jingxian said faintly. She didn't know why, but it seemed that the estrangement between her and Xiao Chen was getting worse. "Since you have chosen him, don't think too much. I think at least he is much better than Chen Jingquan and Chen Jinpeng, right?" Cheng Minjing smiled and explained. "Besides, which man is not a playboy? Isn't Xiao Chen the same? He used to pursue you and Kerlin in front of me. What could I do? Didn't I still have to accept it? Now he is very close to Tang Tang, and sometimes he is even with Yi Xiaoya. What can I do? Apart from accepting it, I have to accept it, right?" "That's true." Shen Jingxian was annoyed with Xiao Chen. Wasn't the example that Cheng Minjing used to refer to the White Fox himself? However, Shen Jingshuan's mood was a lot better. At least, the first person that Xiao Chen liked might be her. By the way, why is the White Fox wearing different clothes than he did at noon? Wasn't he wearing a white coat before? Cheng Minjing was a little puzzled. Who knows? It's hot, so he took it off. Shen Jingxian naturally knew that the white coat was bought by Xiao Chen at noon to prevent others from seeing what he was really wearing. So he put it on at the last minute. He must have taken it off and thrown it away afterward. It would be strange if he still had it now. Oh, Cheng Minjing nodded. Handsome, so handsome. Yu Xiaochuan was cheering for the White Fox. Are you crazy? Yu Danding is your cousin, and you are cheering for the White Fox? Tang Tang was a little puzzled by Yu Xiaochuan's behavior. In her opinion, Yu Xiaochuan seemed to have a little problem with his brain. Perhaps he was stimulated, so he always did things that were different from ordinary people. Zhu Yingxiong was also a little puzzled. Why did Yu Xiaochuan admire Xiao Chen so much? But this was good. He heard that his boss liked Tang Tang. If Yu Xiaochuan worshipped the White Fox, it would be a good thing for him to give his woman to the White Fox. So Zhu Yingxiong said, Big brother is right. The White Fox is really handsome. Big brother, you have to keep an eye on sister-in-law. Don't let her fall in love with the White Fox and abandon you. Haha, if that's the case, I have no regrets. Yu Xiaochuan laughed. Tang Tang frowned. What did Yu Xiaochuan mean? He had been trying to get information from her in the past 2 days. It seemed that he wanted her to have a relationship with the White Fox. Why was he so disgusting? Could it be that in order to please the White Fox, he had sacrificed himself? Tang Tang couldn't imagine it. She didn't think that Yu Xiaochuan was such a pervert before. But now the more she looked at him, the more she thought it was possible. On the other side, Lu Zhiming was also a little excited. He said to Zheng Xiaoquan, the White Fox is so awesome that his opponent directly admitted defeat? Although it's pretty awesome, It also reduces the number of fights. By the way, what's the strength of that Danding? Why is he so weak that he directly admitted defeat? The peak of Stage 8 inner force. Zheng Xiaoquan rolled his eyes. This was strength that he didn't even dare to think about before. But now he could only admit defeat. What? The peak of Stage 8 inner force? Lu Zhenming was a little dumbfounded. Then why did he admit defeat? Yesterday, the White Fox killed a demonic cultivator at the peak of Stage 8 inner force. What do you think? Zheng Xiaoquan rolled his eyes and said, I know what you're thinking, but you'd better save it for a nobody like you. The White Fox may not be in the mood to deal with you. Ha! I have to try. Lu Zhenming hesitated for a moment. This was an opportunity for the Lu family, and he naturally wouldn't give it up easily. Do you think the White Fox will drive me away if I go there now? I don't know. If you want to try, then go ahead. Zheng Xiaoquan said that. But whether the White Fox would hate Lu Zhenming or not, that had little to do with him. Shen Jinghao was still sitting with LV Fengzhen today, but on the other side of LV Fengzhen sat the president of the Songming Warrior Guild, Chu Jingbian. LV Fengzhen already knew about what happened yesterday and today, and Shen Jinghao also knew about it. Shen Jinghao's feelings were a little complicated. He did not expect that the White Fox would provoke the Warrior Guild, even though she had made a name for herself. This was something that Shen Jinghao did not want to see. He was a little hesitant now. He did not know if Qiao En's would continue to take coercive measures after he returned. After all, if he took extreme measures, he was also afraid that the Shen family would be implicated. Chen Huanling, that bastard, added oil to the fire and embroiled the Shen family in it. How could this guy be so shameless? However, he was also unwilling to draw a line between Shen Jingxian and the White Fox. Risk and reward coexisted, and he could see that the White Fox had potential. Old LV President Chu, will the White Fox be in danger? If the matter is really settled by the Warrior Guild, will they take coercive measures against him, such as capturing him back? Shen Jinghao asked worriedly. That won't happen. As long as he doesn't violate some specific rules, such as attacking ordinary people in the secular world for no reason, using force to commit crimes, and so on, the Warrior Guild won't interfere with other matters. For such controversial matters, unless the White Fox's sect agrees, they won't dare to touch the people of the demonic star sect, President Chu explained. President Chu was a neutral person. Although he was promoted by Qiao En's father, he wouldn't offend others for the sake of Qiao Gao, especially a person with a strong background like the White Fox. Today, he vaguely felt that there was a deeper meaning behind LV Fengzhen asking him to sit beside him. It was also a warning. Given LV Fengzhen's status, it was abnormal for him to sit with Shen Jinghao. All of this showed that LV Fengzhen and the White Fox knew each other and supported the White Fox. This way, no matter how stupid Chu Jingbian was, he would know that he wouldn't be too involved in the White Fox's matters. I see. That's a relief. Shen Jinghao heaved a sigh of relief. In his opinion, the demonic star sect would never give up on an outstanding disciple like the White Fox because of such a small matter, unless there was something wrong with the demonic star sect. President Chu, are you free later? How about the three of us have a meal together tonight? That's not a problem for me, but it depends on old man Lu's schedule. Chu Jingbian didn't dare to be careless in front of LV Fengzhen. LV Fengzhen was a person of great status, while he was just a junior. Sure, let's have a simple meal then. LV Fengzhen nodded. He had always been supporting the White Fox. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to a meal just because someone invited him. Shen Jinghao was overjoyed. He had never thought that one day he would have a meal with the two big shots, Chu Jingbian and LV Fengzhen. Otherwise, he wouldn't have married into the Chen family. Wasn't it because of Chen Huanling's position as the vice president? Now LV Fengzhen, who was even more powerful, could eat at the same table. Even if LV Fengzhen didn't directly help him, he could still brag about this matter. Lu Zhenming waited for the White Fox to leave the arena before he tiptoed over to the White Fox and Yi Xiaoya's seats. White Fox hero. Oh, Lu Zhenming, what's the matter? Xiao Chen glanced at Lu Zhenming and asked. Chapter 384. Ah, White Fox Hero, do you know me? You even know my name? Lu Zhenming was surprised. And suddenly he was happy. What's going on? White Fox Hero actually knows me. Oh, I heard Jingxian talk about you. Xiaochen said faintly. Do you have something to say? Yes. Lu Zhenming said quickly. I don't know if White Fox Hero is accepting a younger brother. What do you think of me? Puffed. Xiaochen didn't expect Lu Zhenming to be so shameless and straightforward. Was there a need to say it directly if he wanted to be someone's younger brother? Ugh, haha, I'm a straightforward person. White Fox Hero, please don't misunderstand. I really want to be your younger brother, because I admire you so much. I think you are my idol. Lu Zhenming said in a disgusting manner. Oh, but I heard that you seem to have a boss in school named Xiaochen? Xiaochen asked. Hey! Lu Zhenming was shocked. This White Fox Hero seems to know everything? He actually knows about my school? But thinking about it, White Fox Hero was Shen Jingxuan's boyfriend. Shen Jingxian and Cheng Minjing were like one person. Shen Jingxian would naturally mention Cheng Minjing's ex-fiancé Xiaochen. Therefore, it wasn't surprising that White Fox Hero knew about these things. But he still quickly denied it. That was actually just a joke. It's fake. How can I casually recognize a boss? After all, I'm also a member of the Songning Lu family. Only a heroic person like White Fox Hero can be my boss. Oh, Xiaochen is my little brother. Originally, I thought you were his little brother. In that case, you're barely my little brother. Since it's just a joke, don't be an eyesore here. Hurry up and scram, Xiaochen said with a sneer. Quack! Lu Zhenming was shocked again. What? Xiaochen is Hero White Fox's little brother? When did that happen? F***ck. I misunderstood, so I hurriedly said. No, what I mean is Xiaochen is indeed my boss. But he seems to think that it's just a joke, so he doesn't take it seriously, but I am serious. Oh, Xiaochen nodded. I see. Then do I count as your little brother now? Lu Zhenming waited for a long time. But he didn't see Xiaochen say anything. He just said that he understood. What did that mean? He was a little annoyed at himself for talking too much. Since the White Fox swordsman had already investigated, why didn't he tell the truth? He was now in a very passive position. Follow Xiaochen for a period of time. I'll see how you perform. If you perform well, I'll take you in, Xiaochen said calmly. Okay. Then I'll go back now. Boss White Fox, I'll leave first. Lu Zhenming was very excited. It seemed that White Fox had finally relented, which meant that he still had hope. After Lu Zhenming left, Yi Xiaoya was a little puzzled. You know Xiaochen? Yes, you know him too? Xiaochen asked calmly. And he lives with me in a villa. As Yi Xiaoya said this, she suddenly thought of something. Oh yes, since that person taught you the dark flame palm, then it's not too strange that you know Xiaochen. Xiaochen didn't understand what Yi Xiaoya was talking about, but he didn't want to ask in detail. He was afraid that the fact that he was Xiaochen would be exposed, so he could only reply, That's good. When the time comes, I'll find you for dual cultivation and ask him to help. Don't. Yi Xiaoya was shocked. It's better not to let him know. What's wrong? Xiaochen couldn't help but be stunned. Nothing. Yi Xiaoya shook her head as if she was somewhat conflicted. What's going on? You seem to be hiding something from me? Xiaochen asked curiously. Everyone has a little secret. Don't ask. Yi Xiaoya hesitated and said, White Fox, it's impossible for anything to happen between you and me. So don't have any illusions about me. If we cultivate together, then we cultivate together. Whatever you see, you have to forget it. Do you understand? Otherwise, it's not good for you and me. That's how it is. Xiaochen nodded. And I also have a girlfriend, so it's all misunderstood. Whether it's a misunderstanding or not, that's your business. I don't care. But you have to remember what I said to you. Yi Xiaoya reminded. Okay. Xiaochen agreed readily. At the Righteous and Demonic Songning Summit, the normal challenge competition had ended. Next was the challenge segment. As the saying goes, take revenge if you have a grudge. Everyone had the chance to challenge others. Xiaochen and Yi Xiaoya were both sitting in the challenge area. Xiaochen had already challenged others yesterday, but Yi Xiaoya didn't have anyone to challenge. In fact, there were very few people who actually challenged others. Only a few of them went on stage in succession. These people's strength was about the same. Perhaps there were some small conflicts before, but very soon, no one challenged again. In fact, these contestants who came to participate in the challenge rarely had any deep hatred. The people who had deep hatred were their elders. Many of them didn't know each other, so there was no need to challenge them. This time, the Songming Righteous and Demonic Summit was very successful. No one challenged again. An elder Wang came out to preside over the closing work of the summit. However, I hope that after the summit ends, everyone will put aside their personal grievances in the competition. This is jointly supervised by the Hong Chamber of Commerce and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I don't want anyone to violate it, because at the end of the summit, I gave you a chance to challenge each other. If you didn't, then you can't challenge each other privately afterwards. In fact, what Elder Wang said was basically nonsense. For example, Li Shanying and Leng Youxiang, who were killed by Xiao Chun, were dead. How could they challenge each other? In other words, those who were not as strong as others would lose no matter how they challenged them. If they had to add points, who would dare to challenge them? After the event, they would find a stronger fellow sect member to take revenge. Only then would they have a chance to take down the other party. It was impossible to take revenge directly at the summit. Perhaps some people think that you are not strong enough and want to find someone to take revenge. That's fine too. We'll settle it at the next summit. Elder Wang is right. I don't want anyone to break the rules after the summit ends. Elder Su also said, "Okay, now let's invite the two judges to announce the score of the competition." Song Huawu slowly said, "The righteous sects have a total score of 450 points in this competition. The Devil Sect Alliance has a total score of 510 points in this competition." Hong Zhu also said, "According to the scores of both parties, the Devil Sect Alliance is the winner this time." Cheers instantly came from below the stage. These people were all devil cultivators. Since the beginning of the Righteous Devil Summit, the Devil Sect Alliance had always been at a disadvantage and rarely won. No one expected them to achieve a complete victory today. How could they not cheer? In fact, those who paid attention could also see that in this competition, White Fox alone had obtained the most individual points, a whopping 40 points. Li Shanying, Yu Danding, Junior Brother Ma, Senior Brother Chu. These 40 points were the 40 points that turned the tables. If the Devil Sect Alliance did not have these 40 points, and the Righteous Sects had these 40 points, the outcome would be different. At that time, the Righteous Sects would have 490 points, while the Devil Sect Alliance would have 470 points. In this case, the Devil Sect would definitely lose. However, Xiao Chun did not mind. He told Yi Xiaoye that he would look for her when he had time, and left the venue. He had to leave quickly. It was not appropriate for him to appear in the public eye for the time being. However, before he could go far, his phone rang. Xiao Chun thought it was the young miss, but it turned out to be Hong Zhu. "Hong Zhu, you're looking for me?" Xiao Chun picked up the phone and was a little puzzled as to why Hong Zhu was calling him again. "I have something to do. Can you come to the pharmacy and help me look after it for a while?" Hong Zhu's voice was very urgent, as if something had happened. "Me? Help you look after the pharmacy?" Xiao Chun was stunned. He was a little puzzled. "Can't you just close it? Won't the pharmacy be closed when you come to attend the summit? A few days is a few days. Don't I have something to do? If I close the shop again, Hong Yin will definitely scold me to death when she comes back. My pharmacy is about to close down. I have to reopen it tonight. Besides, I've already put up a notice," Hong Zhu said. "Damn. Then what am I going to do? Help you sell medicine?" Xiao Chun asked. "Yes, anyway there are prices on it. Just sell it according to the price," Hong Zhu said. "All right." Xiao Chun thought for a moment. Hong Zhu had helped him a lot, so now that Hong Zhu asked him for help, he really couldn't refuse, so he agreed. "Then I'll go to your pharmacy now. And go quickly. I'm also rushing over there," Hong Zhu said. "All right, see you later." After Xiao Chun finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Hong Zhu hung up the phone and sensed the aura. There should be no mistake. This person was the candidate his master was looking for. Hong Zhu had come to the secular world, to Songming City, not only to help Hong Yin look after the store, but also to shoulder an important task, and that was to find an outstanding candidate for the sect. The Heavenly Fox sect that Hong Zhu belonged to specialized in bewitching techniques. However, whether it was Hong Zhu or anyone else, none of them were particularly suited for bewitching techniques. Although bewitching techniques could be cultivated by any woman, if one wanted to cultivate it to perfection and reach a higher realm, one must have a suitable physique. Innate charm was a very rare physique. This kind of charm was a kind of inner charm. It was different from those external charms that were flaunted. It was innate and not an effect that was produced through training and cultivation. Hong Zhu's aptitude could only be considered average. Moreover, she did not want to have any great development in this field. She only wanted to learn some skills. Her first task was to manage the Hong Ying group of the Hong Chamber of Commerce. This was her goal, and also what she liked to do. Chapter 385. Therefore, she was quite opposed to Li Shanpao's marriage. Once she married Li Shanpao, then Hong Ying Group's authority would have to be handed over. Because the Hong Chamber of Commerce was not a monolithic entity, after several thousand years of development, Hong Zhong, who was at the helm, already had many descendants. Although Hong Zhu's grandfather was the main bloodline, there were also many other relatively close collateral relatives, such as Hong Zhu's cousins. Which of these people did not want to replace him? Hong Zhu had only two goals now. One was to find a woman with a natural charm and replace her. Although Hong Zhu's aptitude was not very good, she was considered one of the best in the Heavenly Fox sect. The Heavenly Fox sect only had a candidate for the position of demon sect saintess every few decades. The Heavenly Fox sect had placed great hopes on Hong Zhu, so if she did not find someone who could replace her, it would not be easy for Hong Zhu to get away. Although she was an important figure in the Hong Chamber of Commerce, it was the sect that taught her martial arts cultivation. Hong Zhu was not an ungrateful person, so she must finish what she started. She was a demonic cultivator who practiced the bewitching bone technique, so she was particularly sensitive to the aura of the bewitching bone technique. However, she could not say that she could tell who was who in the vast sea of people with just a glance, let alone search aimlessly. However, it was not that there was no way. When a woman with a natural charm had the strongest desire in that aspect, she could feel the existence of the other party. In Songming City, there was a woman with a natural charm. This was accidentally sensed by other people in the sect when they were carrying out other tasks in Songming City. However, the aura was coming to an end, and the people in the sect had other things to do, so they missed it. However, the approximate location was near the Little Hong Pharmacy where Hong Zhu was. There might be a slight deviation, because the person had sensed it in action. It was just that Hong Zhu had not sensed anything even though she had been here for a very long time. Thus, in her opinion, the location of the pharmacy was perhaps just a kilometer away from where that naturally bewitching person was. Perhaps that person had only booked a room in a nearby hotel, or perhaps there were other reasons. In short, there had been no news for so long, and Hong Zhu was about to give up. However, she did not expect to be discovered today. Although a virgin's body had a miraculous effect on cultivating the charming bones cultivation method, a woman who had lost her virginity had a natural aptitude. It was not that she couldn't cultivate it, but the effect would be slightly worse. However, if there was a man with a compatible physique to cultivate with her, she would receive an incredible effect. Therefore, it was not important whether she was a virgin or not, and Hong Zhu was not in a hurry either. As long as he could find the other party, it would be fine. As for when the other party had that desire, it did not matter whether it was pure desire or doing that kind of thing. However, this kind of aura was continuous. Only when the other party had a desire, Hong Zhu would be able to resonate with it and sense it. Within a radius of 1 kilometer, he would be able to track it. And on her way back to the pharmacy, she sensed this aura, which made Hong Zhu a little anxious. However, she couldn't just ignore the pharmacy. There were some things that she didn't say. Grandpa Chun had called earlier, and said that there might be a very important customer coming to buy medicine tonight. So he told Hongju to hurry back as soon as possible. As a result, Hongju was in a bit of a dilemma. She rarely told her family about the matters of the sect, and her family matters could not be delayed. After all, she was the person in charge of the Honging group. After that, she thought of grabbing a strong man and brought Xiao Chen to look after the store, while she went to track that aura. At the entrance of Little Hong's pharmacy, Xiao Chen saw Hongju, who was looking around anxiously while waiting. He could not help but think that this little demon girl ran really fast. She actually arrived much earlier than him. However, thinking about it, she and Song Hua Wu were the judges of the summit, so there would definitely be a special car to pick them up. On the other hand, because he had concealed his identity to go to the summit, he did not drive. Of course, he would not be as fast as her on foot. Hongju, go and do what you need to do. I'll help you look after it, said Xiao Chen. Then I'm leaving. Hongju nodded, and did not say anything else. She immediately left with quick steps. After thinking about it, Xiao Chen did not change his appearance. He still appeared at the pharmacy with the appearance of a white fox. If he appeared here with Xiao Chen's appearance, it would be even worse if he was discovered by someone with ulterior motives. However, the white fox was also a demonic cultivator, so it was not a big deal for her to be acquainted with Hongju. Moreover, Hongju had helped him several times during the summit. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that he and Hongju had some sort of relationship. However, it was different for Xiao Chen. Even if Xiao Chen came here to buy medicine, why would he help Hongju look after the store? It was obvious that the two of them had some sort of relationship. It would not be good if someone with ulterior motives became suspicious, especially when they were being investigated by Qiao Ins of the Warrior Guild. After entering the pharmacy, Xiao Chen sat behind the counter, where Hongju usually Saturday. There were no cultivation resources here, so Xiao Chen could only foolishly sit there and take out his phone to browse through the Warrior Guild's missions. Now that Xiao Chen was not lacking in money, he did not have much interest in the low-level missions of the Warrior Guild. However, he could post mission commissions here and there. Thinking about it, Xiao Chen had never failed to post a mission before. And now he needed spirit jades. After hesitating for a while, Xiao Chen issued a mission commission in the name of the White Fox. Previously, he had announced to Lu Jinming that Xiao Chen was his little brother, and Xiao Chen had been collecting ancient jades for a while. Now if the White Fox were to collect ancient jades, there would not be too many suspicions. After all, a little brother collecting ancient jades for the boss was reasonable. Therefore, Xiao Chen issued a commission to collect ancient jades. However, he added a lot of restrictive conditions and descriptions. Even so, it was impossible to guarantee that the ancient jades were spirit jades. In this way, they would have to meet and trade. Although it was a little risky, it was worth it when compared to the cultivation rewards. Xiao Chen's bounty was not low. 10,000 points for a piece of ancient jade. If converted into cash, it would be 10 million. Although 10 million might be the auction price of some ancient jades in the secular world, 10,000 points was still more attractive to martial artists. After posting, Xiao Chen waited for someone to reply. However, after browsing for more than half an hour, no one accepted the mission. Some people even commented that it was very strange. Why would a martial artist want this thing? If they wanted to collect it, go to the antique market. It was purely a waste of points. During this half an hour, Xiao Chen sold medicine a few times. However, they were all the commonly used medicine, such as cold medicine, stomach remedy, huaxiangjingqi water, and so on. Just when he was feeling bored, the door of the pharmacy was pushed open again. This time, it was a young girl in a dark yellow tang suit. She carried a woman who looked to be in her 40s or 50s. She hurried into the pharmacy and came to Xiao Chen. "Welcome. What medicine would you like to buy?" Xiao Chen stood up and asked in a professional manner. As for his white fox mask, no one thought there was anything wrong with it. Nowadays, for the sake of commercial sales, many shops would make some strange props and costumes. For example, the receptionists in big panda costumes at the entrance of shopping malls, and the clowns at the entrance of restaurants. However, It was a little strange to see such a person in a pharmacy, but not surprising. It was just that the person, the young girl, looked at Xiao Chun and felt a little strange. Why are you here? Are Master Chun or Master Lu here? I contacted them before. Master Chun, Master Lu, they are busy and not here. You can tell me what you want to buy. Xiao Chun also looked at the young girl in front of him strangely. She looked very ordinary. In the vast sea of people, one could not even tell her apart at a glance. However, with Xiao Chen's sharp divine sense and mental strength, he could sense that she was wearing a mask. It was a high-precision mask similar to a human skin mask. There were no flaws on the surface, and only people like Xiao Chen could sense it. Therefore, Xiao Chen was secretly vigilant against this young girl who did not show her real face like him. He did not know why she was here. Was the person on her a patient? With you. Are you a pharmacist? The young girl seemed a little anxious, but there was a hint of disdain in her words. My master has a problem with his cultivation. He is possessed by the devil. He must find a pharmacist to treat him as soon as possible. Otherwise, his life will be in danger. In the vicinity, the best medical skills were Apothecary Lu and Apothecary Chun from Little Hong's pharmacy. The young girl felt lucky that they were close to here and could make it in time. If she returned to her sect, she might not be in trouble. However, even though he was a little distrustful of Xiao Chun, he sounded too young. At most, he was the disciple of Apothecary Lu or Apothecary Chun. He had no choice but to say it. Oh, then wait for a while, Xiao Chun said faintly. They are not here. I have an appointment with them. Can you help me contact them? I can't get through to Master Chen's phone, and I don't have Master Lu's number. The young girl was a little anxious, but her tone was not very good. I don't know either, Xiao Chen said faintly. If you want to find them, just wait. If you want to find me, I will show you. Can you see? Do you know how to read it? The girl glared angrily at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and did not say anything. This young girl's eyes were very beautiful and full of spirit. She should not be ugly, but he did not know why she was wearing a mask. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not speak, the young girl continued. Only Master Chun or Master Lu can suppress my master's injury. I said, then you just wait for them. Xiao Chen was also a little impatient. You came here to see a doctor, and the doctor is not here. Then you just wait. I will show you, but you still don't want to do it. Who will care about you? If it was not because he wanted to help Hong Zhu and did not want to offend the guests, Xiao Chen would have asked them to leave. He had only said so much out of respect for Hong Zhu. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bothered wasting his breath on this matter. Tomorrow, there will be a Fishman Book Club at Harbin University of Technology. Fans in Bing City, don't miss it. For details, see Fishman Prestige Urine 22. Chapter 386. The young girl snorted coldly. Are you a staff member hired by this pharmacy? Xiao Chen glanced at her and did not answer. He continued to play with his phone. The young girl was furious, but she didn't say anything else to Xiao Chen. Instead, she anxiously dialed her phone. However, the other side of the phone kept ringing that she couldn't get through. This made her extremely anxious. After waiting for about 20 minutes, the young girl finally became anxious. She put down the phone and looked at Xiao Chen. Hey, you don't know when they'll be back? I don't know, Xiao Chen said. Then, can you take a look at my master? But are your medical skills good? The young girl hesitated and said. If it's not good, then don't look. Xiao Chen coldly replied. Then take a look. The young girl had no other choice. It was not a good idea to drag on like this. If she could not suppress her master's chi deviation, it would become more and more serious. Before he could return to the sect, he would die here. Oh, the medical fees are very expensive. Do you have the money to pay? Xiao Chen glanced at the young girl and asked coldly. If the other party's attitude was good to him, he would also be good for Hong Zhu's sake. At the very least, he would not struggle with the medical fees. But now, the other party clearly had an arrogant and distrustful expression on her face. Xiao Chen naturally did not have a good tone, and immediately asked for medical fees. The young girl was about to explode. Why are you so greedy? If you can suppress my master's injuries, I will naturally treat you well. I don't believe you. Prove it first. Do you have the money? Xiao Chun was unmoved. Why are you like this? Are you a doctor or not? The young girl was anxious. In fact, she did not bring much money with her. She was a member of the pugilistic world, and rarely brought money with her. She rummaged through her pockets, and only had a few hundred yuan. Xiao Chun curled his lips, and looked at the few hundred yuan on the counter. He coldly snorted. So little. It's not even enough to pay for a visit, let alone treatment. The young woman stared at Xiao Chun. Then, how much do you want? Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes, looked at the girl in front of him, and said, My house calls usually start from a few million, or you can use other things to pay off the debt. You lecher. Seeing Xiao Chun's lecherous look, the young girl immediately thought of something. She glared at Xiao Chun and said, I'll tell your master and let him deal with you. Oh, my master died a long time ago, Xiao Chun said. He wasn't lying. His master really was dead. If he had to say that he was alive, then he could only say that the soul of the elder heaven ancestor was still alive. You scoundrel who deceived his master and destroyed his ancestors. The young girl was so angry that she wanted to stomp the person in front of her to death. In the eyes of a martial artist like her, deceiving one's master and destroying one's ancestors was a heinous crime, even more serious than murder and robbery. I said that you don't have enough medical fees, so you can use other things to pay off the debt. You said that I'm a scoundrel who deceived his master and destroyed his ancestors. Are you crazy? Xiao Chun curled his lips and looked at the young girl strangely. Then what do you want to use to pay off the debt? The young girl asked. For example, you. When Xiao Chun said this, he paused for a moment. This was because his eyes swept over the ancient jade on the young girl's neck. There was a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy. He didn't even touch it, but it was already so obvious. This should be a good thing, not inferior to the jade pendant he was wearing before. The young girl's face suddenly became even uglier. She really couldn't understand why her appearance was so ordinary. Why would it attract the attention and desire of the person in front of her? Was there something wrong with this person's heart? Or was he a lecher who was so hungry that he couldn't be choosy? Don't even think about it. The young girl snorted coldly. Then let your master wait for her death. It seems that she won't be able to hold on for long. It seems that she has been possessed by the devil, and her body has produced a lot of devil energy that she can't refine, right? Xiao Chun glanced at the middle-aged woman's situation and guessed that it was about right. The young girl turned her head and looked. Sure enough, her master's face was gradually turning black. This was the sign of devil energy getting to her head. If she continued to not control it, her master's life would be in danger. Thinking of this, the young girl became a little anxious. Her master had treated her with great kindness. If something really happened to her master, because of her persistence, she would not be able to live with it for the rest of her life. The young girl hesitated for a moment, gritted her teeth and said, Okay, I'll do whatever you say. Now, is it here? Can you help me take a look at my master first? I've promised you, and I won't go back on my word. Let's do it now. Maybe you'll go back on your word later. Xiao Chun smiled slightly and reached out to grab the young girl's chest. The young girl's body trembled slightly, but she stood there. She didn't stop him, nor did she dodge. She let Xiao Chun's hand attack her. However, what surprised her was that Xiao Chun's hand didn't shove into her chest like she had imagined. Instead, it stopped on the jade pendant on her neck. Xiao Chun pulled hard, and the jade pendant was in his hand. Then he retracted his hand and said, Okay, let me take a look at your master. What are you doing with my jade pendant? The young girl was a little puzzled. Didn't Xiao Chun want her? Oh, I'm talking about your jade pendant. But before I could finish, you interrupted me. Then what did you think I wanted? Xiao Chun touched the jade pendant in his hand. He was secretly excited. It really was a spiritual jade, and the spiritual energy fluctuation in it was extremely strong. However, on the surface, he asked calmly, The young girl was taken aback, and a hint of anger flashed across her face. However, Although this jade pendant was rather important, and was a treasure, it could strengthen one's body if worn for a long time. However, she was a martial artist, so the effect of this thing was relatively small. She just didn't expect that Xiao Chen wanted this thing. Then why didn't he make it clear? Was he happy to let her feel ashamed and insulted? Xiao Chen grabbed the young girl's body and the middle-aged woman's pulse. Then, he circulated the mantra, and used his body's primordial qi to guide the disharmonious demonic qi in her body out. This demonic qi was accidentally produced, so it wasn't controlled by the middle-aged woman. There was no need to deliberately guide it. When Xiao Chen circulated his primordial qi, the demonic qi automatically entered his body. This demonic qi wouldn't be too much of a problem in Xiao Chen's body. When he dual cultivated with Yi Xiaoya, he could take advantage of the impact and dissolve it, turning it into the primordial qi in his body. Then it would have the effect of increasing his cultivation. In Xiao Chen's opinion, it was very worthwhile to use this move in exchange for a piece of spiritual jade. Therefore, Xiao Chen directly absorbed all the disharmonious demonic qi in the middle-aged woman's body. There was not a trace left. This was also considered as a thank you to the master and disciple. Done. Xiao Chen stopped the circulation of the mantra, withdrew his hand, and said to the young girl faintly, "Done? You just checked my master's pulse and said it's done? Are you a liar?" The young girl saw that Xiao Chen didn't do anything, so she said it was done. Wasn't this obvious behavior of a liar? Therefore, she directly questioned Xiao Chen. In her opinion, Xiao Chen must be a pharmacy attendant who wanted to cheat people. With this thought, the young girl's stage 10 inner force cultivation was immediately revealed. And it almost scared Xiao Chen to the point of peeing. What the heck, a top master? Stage 10 inner force. This was the first top martial artist that Xiao Chen had seen with his own eyes. How could they have such high strength? What was the background of these two people? If the disciple already had such a cultivation, then wouldn't the master be? However, on the surface, Xiao Chen was indifferent and said coldly, "If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. Don't show your poor cultivation, ignorant." You. The young girl was so angry that she withdrew the demonic qi on her body and snorted. She was also anxious about her master's situation. As a result, she was suddenly dumbfounded. The black qi on her master's face was gone. Instead, it was replaced by a normal color. Although it was still a little pale, it was obvious that he was fine. The young girl was shocked and quickly checked the condition of her master's body. However, what shocked her was that the disharmonious demonic qi in her master's body caused by qi deviation had all disappeared. Not a single bit. At this moment, the young girl was a little stunned and didn't know what to say. This person in front of her, who was he? How could he have such superb medical skills? One had to know that even the masters in the sect couldn't do it. Although others could also expel the demonic qi, it would be channeled into other people's bodies. Similarly, the person who the demonic qi entered would suffer qi deviation. So no one dared to do it. They could only first find a pharmacist to control the demonic qi, then restore their sober state. With the help of elixirs, they could slowly refine the disharmonious demonic qi produced by qi deviation. However, this process was extremely long. It could take a year, or it could even take 8 to 10 years. Depending on the degree of qi deviation and the degree of one's own recovery, the time would be different. In short, unless it was a supernatural being whose strength was much higher than her master's, only then would they be able to expel the demonic qi and dispel it easily. Could it be that this person's strength was higher than her master's? And he had said that her cultivation was pitiful. Didn't that mean that she was nothing in his eyes? At this thought, the young girl broke out in a cold sweat. Whether this person in front of her was a lecher or a scoundrel, he had an extremely high cultivation. Otherwise, how could he have dispelled the demonic qi in her master's body? From the looks of it, he didn't seem to be affected at all. In other words, this person's strength had already reached the acme of perfection. Actually, she didn't know that cultivators and warriors had two different cultivation systems. Therefore, even though the demonic qi was in Xiao Chen's body, it didn't affect him too much. Because the attributes of vitality and demonic qi were different, they wouldn't clash with each other. Occasionally, some demonic qi would act up and cause Xiaochen some pain. For example, Leng Youxiang's chilly demonic qi. Chapter 387. But overall, Xiaochen didn't have much of an impact. At least, the young girl couldn't tell. My master is fine. The young girl couldn't accept the truth in front of her. It was too shocking. Senior. Thank you. He's cured, but you don't have to thank me. You paid for my treatment. Xiaochen said faintly. No, senior. I know that the spiritual jade is nothing. It's far from enough to exchange for your help. The young girl was telling the truth. If it was an expert who treated her master, this little bit of compensation was far from enough. Therefore, the young girl knew very well that the other party was just an ordinary pharmacist in the secular world. However, he was clearly a senior expert. Did he not have any values? If she behaved with a clear conscience, and the senior was unhappy, he wouldn't teach them a lesson. Even if he didn't teach them a lesson, it wouldn't be a good thing to offend him. Moreover, she might need his help in the future. Oh, you can say whatever you want. Xiaochen smiled bitterly. However, he felt that this young girl was pretty good. At least she knew how to be grateful and felt that she owed him. However, the young girl's words caught Xiaochen's attention. Spiritual jade? You know about spiritual jade? Oh, I know. This kind of jade is called spiritual jade. It's not the same as ordinary jade. When worn, it can strengthen the body. However, with senior strength, this kind of jade is really not very useful. The young girl nodded and explained. Oh, I gave it to my friend. Do you have more? Xiaochen asked. No, this kind of thing is not very useful, but it's rare. The young girl shook her head. Does senior still need it? Yes, if you do, that would be the best, Xiaochen said. Then, I owe senior a favor this time. When I go back, I can help senior collect this kind of spiritual jade. How do I contact senior then? The young girl asked. Come here and give it to the shopkeeper of this pharmacy. Medicine Master Chun or Medicine Master Lu will do. Hong Zhu and Hong Yin will also do, Xiaochen said calmly. Okay, thank you very much, senior. I will take my leave now. I will take my master back to rest. The girl nodded and said, Sure. Xiaochen's calm demeanor made the girl feel that this person was not simple. The girl cupped her fists and left the pharmacy with her master. Hong Zhu stood at the entrance of a villa complex with a slight frown on her face. She had clearly sensed that the bewitching aura had come from nearby, but the moment she arrived here, the bewitching aura had disappeared. Why is it gone? Hong Zhu had already wandered the vicinity for more than an hour. He had originally thought that that aura would appear again, but unfortunately, that aura did not appear. Hong Zhu waited for a long time, but seeing that he had gained nothing, he could only give up and return to the pharmacy. However, she could confirm that the aura should have come from the vicinity of this villa complex. However, what was more difficult to investigate was that there were not only villas in this area, but also foreign houses. The foreign houses were the kind of 6-story, 3-family duplex buildings. Although there were only a few houses in a single building, Hong Zhu couldn't possibly search each house one by one. Could she? Returning to the pharmacy, Hong Zhu saw Xiaochen sitting behind the counter, looking just like a waiter. She couldn't help but smile. Hey, you're so responsible. How was it? Did anyone come? Oh, there was. I sold some things and recorded them down, Xiaochen said as he pointed at the account book. I mean, did anyone strange come here? Hong Zhu casually glanced at the account book, then put it aside and asked. Strange people? Oh yes. There was a woman who came with a 40-year-old woman on her back to buy medicine. She said that her master's cultivation had deviated, Xiaochen said. And then, where is she? Hong Zhu was startled and hurriedly asked in a somewhat nervous manner. She left, Xiaochen said. Left? She didn't say anything? Hong Zhu was surprised. No, Xiaochen said. All right, I should also go back. Where did you go just now? Why were you gone for so long? It's nothing. I went to look for someone, but I couldn't find her. Hong Zhu was obviously unwilling to talk about it. Xiaochen nodded and didn't ask any more questions. After bidding farewell to Hong Zhu, He left the pharmacy and returned to his villa. Near the villa, Xiao Chun restored his original appearance. However, when he entered the villa, neither Cheng Minjing nor Yi Xiaoya were downstairs, allowing Xiao Chun to smoothly enter his room. After taking a quick bath and changing his clothes, Xiao Chun brewed a pot of medicinal liquid and began to prepare for cultivation. After the medicinal liquid was properly brewed, Xiao Chun wore the spirit jade on his body, then quickly took the medicinal liquid and began to cultivate. Xiao Chun had just broken through to the 7th layer of refinement stage and had just consolidated his cultivation. He hoped that he could use the spirit jade to go a step further. Of course, Xiao Chun didn't think it was possible. After all, the higher one's cultivation was, the slower one's progress would be. Elder Heaven Ancestor, I am now at the 7th layer of refinement stage. Is this medicinal liquid still effective? Xiao Chun asked. You didn't talk to me. I thought you had forgotten about me. You look pretty awesome today, daring to treat that woman's injury without authorization, and saying that your master is dead? How is your master dead? Elder Heaven Ancestor's dissatisfied voice sounded. I was just excited when I saw the spirit jade, Xiao Chun said with a bit of sweat. Do you want to die because you were excited? Don't you know that her level is much higher than yours? Her devil chi entered your body, and if you don't resolve it, your life will be in danger? Elder Heaven Ancestor said seriously. Really? Xiao Chun was slightly stunned and shocked. Then why didn't you stop me at that time? But you and Yi Xiaoya can be resolved through dual cultivation, so I didn't stop you. If it was before, I would have definitely stopped you, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. But don't be too reckless next time. Her condition can be resolved with medicinal liquid, but the effect is a bit slow. I can give you the prescription. Forget it. Since it has already happened, I will go find Yi Xiaoya for dual cultivation. Xiao Chun had an attitude of taking things as they come. Since it had already happened, there was no point in dwelling on it. Oh right, what special ability does a 7th layer of refinement stage have? I didn't have time to ask you before at the summit. The special ability of the 7th layer of refinement stage is still object manipulation, but you can control slightly larger objects, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. This ability is quite useful if you use it well. Object manipulation? Xiao Chun couldn't help but be a bit disappointed after hearing this. This ability, except for scaring people in Shen Jinghao's house, had not been used in any proper place. When it came to real battles, Xiao Chun didn't see any big advantages for the time being. It also has its advantages, you can slowly experience it. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Tomorrow, your medicinal ingredients will be prepared according to the current formula. The 8th layer of refinement stage needs to be changed. Okay. Xiao Chun nodded. After the exercise, the medicinal efficacy was absorbed by Xiao Chun. With the spiritual energy from the spirit jade, Xiao Chun's 7th layer of refinement stage was approaching the peak. But there was still a long way to go. After nightfall, Xiao Chun quietly changed into the white fox costume, and then tiptoed upstairs, planning to go to Yi Xiaoya's room. However, when he just walked to Yi Xiaoya's room, he heard a click sound from the door not far away. A beautiful figure in pajamas came out. When she saw Xiao Chun not far away, she couldn't help but be stunned. She almost exclaimed, but fortunately, she covered her mouth in time. The person who came out was Shen Jingxian. She was a little thirsty after sleeping in the middle of the night, and planned to go downstairs to get a bottle of drink. The drinks in the bedroom were finished, and she didn't think to prepare a bottle before going to bed. Seeing Xiao Chun, an uncontrollable anger flashed in Shen Jingshuan's eyes. He was actually standing in front of Yi Xiaoya's room, and he was also wearing the white fox costume. What was he going to do? In the middle of the night, he ran to the door of Yi Xiaoya's room. If someone said that there was no problem with him, Shen Jingxian wouldn't believe it. Jingxian. Xiao Chun was stunned, and then he couldn't help but smile bitterly. How could there be such a coincidence? When he went upstairs, she came out of the room. Originally, he thought that in the middle of the night, Minjing must be asleep, and Shen Jingxian perhaps because tomorrow is Monday, she must have returned to her home. but he didn't expect that she would stay here for the night. Shen Jingxian coldly glanced at Xiao Chun, expressionlessly passed by him, and went downstairs. Xiao Chun was shocked, and quickly chased after her. He wanted to hold her hand, but Shen Jingxian ruthlessly shook it off. Xiao Chun was anxious, and he stopped in front of Shen Jingxian. Jingxian, listen to my explanation. In fact, things are not what you think. Get out of the way, or I will call for help. Let Minjing see what you look like now, White Fox hero. Shen Jingxian said coldly. Xiao Chun had no choice but to get out of the way. He was really afraid that Shen Jingxian would call for help. And then it would be even more difficult to deal with if it woke up the young Mississippi. Shen Jingxian saw Xiao Chun get out of the way, and she walked downstairs. But her steps were a little unsteady, and her whole body fell down head first. Xiao Chun was suddenly shocked, and he wanted to pull her up, but it was too late. He stood at the stairs, and Shen Jingxian fell down from the halfway position. How could he catch up? However, in a hurry, Xiao Chun jumped directly from the second floor, and quickly fell to the stairs. Bang! Ah! Shen Jingxian exclaimed, and her whole body directly fell on Xiao Chun's body, but she wasn't hurt. However, Shen Jingxian was wearing pajamas, and she woke up in the middle of sleep, so she didn't wear anything under the loose pajamas. Xiao Chun felt that there were two soft lumps pressing on his back, which made him want to turn back and touch them. But he thought about it, and decided not to. Shen Jingxian and he were now in a period of Cold War. If he touched her, it would not be worth it. Chapter 388. When Shen Jingxian saw Xiao Chun suddenly appearing under her, she was slightly stunned. She was a little touched, but she didn't intend to forgive Xiao Chun so easily. If Xiao Chun was an ordinary person, she might forgive him. After all, it took a lot of courage for an ordinary person to jump from the second floor and become a human punching bag for her. However, Xiao Chun was not only a warrior, but also a paranormal. He could easily kill a master at the peak of Inner Force Stage 8. It wouldn't be a big problem for him to be punched by her. So she climbed up from Xiao Chun's body. Shen Jingxian snorted and went to get a drink. She didn't care about Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun stood up and caught up with Shen Jingxian. Jingxian, be careful. What do you want? I'll get it for you. No need. Shen Jingxian opened the cupboard and took out a bottle of yogurt and a bottle of mineral water. Then she turned around and went upstairs. However, looking at Shen Jingxian's staggering appearance, Xiao Chun was afraid that she would fall again. So he ran over and carried Shen Jingxian, who was a few steps up the stairs. He put her on his neck and carried her upstairs. Shen Jingxian was shocked. She wanted to struggle, but she was afraid that she would lose her balance and fall. She wanted to call for help, but that was just to scare Xiao Chun. In fact, she didn't dare to let Cheng Minjing know her relationship with Xiao Chun. He felt that there was nothing under Shen Jingxian's nightgown. It seemed that something like hair was rubbing against the back of Xiao Chun's neck, which made him a little excited. Shen Jingxian wasn't wearing anything? Shen Jingxian also realized that something was wrong. A strange feeling rose in her heart, and she couldn't help but recall the time when the two of them were on the isolated island. The situation at that time was somewhat similar to this, but she wasn't naked at that time. As Xiao Chun walked upstairs, the slight friction made Shen Jingxian's heart beat faster. Although she had only done it with Xiao Chun once, this kind of similar feeling made her unable to stop. Once they were upstairs, Xiao Chun put Shen Jingxian down. He didn't do anything excessive, because he knew that going too far was as bad as not going far enough. Shen Jingxian glared at him, quickly returned to the bedroom, and closed the door. Xiao Chun felt a cool sensation at the back of his neck. He touched it with his hand and found a patch of water. Xiao Chun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Goddess Shen must still like him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such a reaction. However, there was still a long way to go for her to forgive him. But overall, Xiao Chun was relieved. At least, Goddess Shen didn't hate him. Xiao Chun went to the public washroom to wipe it. Otherwise, if Yi Xiaoya saw it, he wouldn't be able to explain it. Moreover, although he didn't think it was a big deal, girls still disliked each other. just like what happened between Jean Bebe and Elder Miss in the car. After doing all this, Xiao Chun returned to the door of Yi Xiaoya's room and reached out to open the door. Although the door was locked, it was a piece of cake for Xiao Chun. After returning to the room, Shen Jingxian didn't go to sleep immediately. Instead, she stood by the door and watched the situation outside through the peephole. She saw Xiao Chun touch the back of his neck and take a look at it, which made her blush instantly. Shen Jingxian didn't expect that she would be so humiliated. She just sat on Xiao Chun's body, but she also wanted to see whether Xiao Chun would go to see Yi Xiaoya. Her room was diagonally opposite to Yi Xiaoya's, so she could see it directly. After Xiao Chun went to the public washroom, he returned to the door of Yi Xiaoya's room, opened the door directly, and entered without even knocking on the door. Shen Jingxian suddenly felt a chill in her heart. Sure enough, there was something wrong. Even she and Cheng Minjing would lock the door at night. How could Yi Xiaoya go to sleep without locking the door? It seemed that she must have left the door open for Xiao Chun, so that he could come and go. Thinking of this, Shen Jingxian sighed. I really shouldn't believe him. He was simply deceiving me. Until now, he still said that it wasn't like what I thought. What should I think? Can't he tell the truth to me? Of course, Yi Xiaoya's door was locked. But even if the door was locked, Yi Xiaoya's alertness was still quite high. When Xiao Chun came in, Yi Xiaoya woke up, but she didn't make a sound. She just waited for Xiao Chun to close the door. Yi Xiaoya suddenly jumped from the bed, and a dark flame palm came at Xiao Chun. In Yi Xiaoya's view, the person who opened her locked door in the middle of the night, without a sound, was definitely not a good person. Xiao Chun was also shocked. He didn't expect that Yi Xiaoya didn't even say a word. She just got up and attacked directly. He thought that Yi Xiaoya was asleep. Little Yi, it's me, Xiao Chun said in the voice of the white fox. Ah! Yi Xiaoya quickly stopped her palm technique. She was a little surprised. White fox, why are you here? How did you find this place? You forgot. Xiao Chun is my underling, Xiao Chun said. Then I asked for the address and came over. Oh, then how did you open my door? Yi Xiaoya was a little puzzled. Her door was locked from the inside. She couldn't open it with the key from the outside. The white fox didn't violently destroy it. It seemed that it opened with a simple push. Technical lock picking. Do you want to learn? Xiao Chun said. Quickly open all kinds of inner and outer mill blade locks, B-class locks. Forget it. I don't want to learn it. You can study it yourself. Yi Xiaoya was a little speechless. Why did you come to me in the middle of the night? I thought you were a thief or my enemy. Naturally, it's to find you for dual cultivation. Xiao Chun said. Don't you want to? I want to, but you and I aren't husband and wife. It's not reasonable to always cultivate like this. You are not allowed to have any bad thoughts. Yi Xiaoya said. My girlfriend lives next door to you. What do you think I can do? Xiao Chun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Oh, Yi Xiaoya also remembered that Shen Jingxian was here. She was relieved. Well, wait for me to close the curtains. Then, you and I will take off our clothes, so that we won't burn our clothes when we cultivate. However, you have to come in the middle of the night in the future. You can't come during the day when there is light. Okay, Xiao Chun said. I still have to go to school during the day. How can I come? Yi Xiaoya closed the curtains. The curtains were the kind of shading cloth. Once it was closed, the room was completely dark. Yi Xiaoya was originally wearing pajamas, so she quickly took it off. Although Xiao Chun felt a little weird, he still took off his clothes. Then, he sat face to face with Yi Xiaoya on the bed. Then the two of them put their palms together. Just like before, they began to circulate the mantra, intertwining the demonic energy and the primordial energy to carry out a mutual cycle. In the darkness, although Xiao Chun couldn't see clearly at the beginning, the six senses of a cultivator allowed him to quickly adapt to the situation in the room. He could clearly see Yi Xiaoya's body. This made him feel very excited, but it was also very immoral. Yi Xiaoya trusted him and cultivated with him. If he took the opportunity to peek at Yi Xiaoya, it would be too immoral. However, after Xiao Chun took a look, he wanted to take a second look. Xiao Chun's breathing was slightly rapid. Yi Xiaoya didn't know what was going on. She was a little puzzled. What's wrong with you? Is it because the mantra is circulating too fast that you can't bear it? That's not it. Next time, let's find a curtain and put it in the middle, said Xiaochen. So what if you can see it? Yi Xiaoya snorted with some disdain. Mom is so annoying. After saying that, she deliberately puffed out her chest, meaning that Xiaochen couldn't see it at all. No, it's just that it feels a little awkward. Xiaochen almost vomited blood. Don't be so nosy. Where should we hang a curtain? Yi Xiaoya glared at Xiaochen and remembered that he couldn't see it. In fact, Xiaochen could see it. Xiaochen could simply close his eyes, take a deep breath, and continue to cultivate with Yi Xiaoya. Otherwise, if he thought too much in his heart, Xiaochen was afraid that he would directly go mad. The demonic energy in his body had not been digested yet. If Xiaochen went mad again, it would bode ill. However, after the dual cultivation, Xiaochen also discovered a problem. The demonic energy in his body this time was very difficult to digest. The demonic energy was very stubborn, and it was not as easy to digest as Lung Youxiang's demonic energy. Now, Xiaochen finally understood what the Elder Heaven Ancestor meant. The demonic energy was really too scary. If he didn't rely on dual cultivation with Yi Xiaoya, he wouldn't be able to digest it at all. After a long time, only God knew what accidents would happen in his body. However, after such a cycle, Xiaochen discovered that although the demonic energy in his body was dissolving very little, it was still being digested. And what surprised Xiaochen the most was that although the amount of the demonic energy was digested very little, once it was converted into his own vitality, it was quite strong. With the help of the spiritual jade pendant, Xiaochen felt that his cultivation speed was 3 to 4 times faster than usual. It seemed like the dual cultivation method that he had discovered with Yi Xiaoya was really beneficial to him. Of course, it wasn't just Xiaochen. Yi Xiaoya was also the same. She had also benefited a lot from dual cultivation. The night passed uneventfully. Early in the morning, a faint light shone into the room. Because the two of them were very focused on dual cultivation, they had forgotten about the time. Xiaochen had his eyes closed, so he didn't notice the changes outside the window. It wasn't until the sound of birds chirping came from outside the window that Yi Xiaoya came back to her senses. She looked forward and saw the naked white fox and his towering pillar. This made Yi Xiaoya a little angry. This guy was up to no good. What was he doing? She was so angry that she stopped her cultivation and kicked Xiaochen. Scram! Xiaochen opened his eyes and was stunned. He realized that the sky was gradually getting brighter. Looking at Yi Xiaoya's angry face, Xiaochen knew that his little Xiaochen had been exposed. But could he blame himself? This kind of cultivation method was really too torturous for Xiaochen. Chapter 389. Yi Xiaoya pulled the quilt and covered herself with it. Then she said, "You're so ugly. Get lost." All right then, Xiaochen thought to himself. This was a classic case of turning hostile and not acknowledging him. You didn't say this when you were cultivating. Now that you're done cultivating, you want me to leave? Do you think I'm a stud? However, Xiaochen was afraid that Shen Jingxian and the young miss would wake up, so he quickly put on his clothes and left in a flash. Fortunately, the corridor was quiet. Xiaochen didn't dare to delay. He immediately went downstairs and returned to his room. Then he closed the door, took a hot shower, began to change, and went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Yi Xiaoya looked at Xiaochen's back as he left. She snorted and thought, this guy seemed to have his eyes closed just now. He can think of unhealthy things with his eyes closed. I'm really impressed. In the morning, Yi Xiaoya, Cheng Minjing, and Shen Jingxian went downstairs to eat together. Only Shen Jingxian yawned, as if she didn't sleep well. On the other hand, Cheng Minjing and Yi Xiaoya were in high spirits. Cheng Minjing didn't get up last night, and Shen Jingxian didn't chat with her, so she slept well. As for Yi Xiaoya, she cultivated all night. Although her cultivation didn't improve much, there was still a lot of progress. Her state was naturally excellent. Shen Jingxian glanced at Yi Xiaoya. No matter how she looked at it, it seemed that she was nourished by a man. Otherwise, Why would she be so energetic after attending the summit and coming back so tired? Seeing Xiao Chun making breakfast in the kitchen, Shen Jingxian walked over without batting an eyelid. She pretended to go to the closet to get a drink. When she passed by him, she said, "You look pretty energetic. You're up early in the morning to cook? Aren't you men tired after doing it?" Cough cough. Xiao Chun almost spat his saliva into the pot. "This means I didn't do it." Humph. Shen Jingxian glared at him. She had seen him enter Yi Xiaoya's room with her own eyes. How could it be fake? Moreover, Yi Xiaoya's appearance was obviously different from usual. Back at the dining room, Shen Jingxian sat down and waited for breakfast. Cheng Minjing looked at her and said, "Jingxian, why did you go to school this morning? Let's call a taxi." For the past 2 days, she and Cheng Minjing had called a taxi to go to the summit. However, they had to call in advance to make a reservation, which was more troublesome. Otherwise, there would be no taxi waiting for customers in the villa area. Who could afford a villa did not have a private car. "Why don't we set off earlier and let Xiao Chun send you there?" Cheng Minjing said. "No, it's not on the way." Shen Jingxian didn't want to see Xiao Chun. "By the way, Minjing, I will go back to the Shen family tonight. I won't come here anymore." "You won't come?" Cheng Minjing was a little disappointed. These days, Shen Jingxian accompanied her. She thought it was quite interesting. She didn't expect that she would be alone soon. "Well, I have to go home too. It's not very convenient to go to school here," Shen Jingxian said with a smile. "Well, then when you have nothing to do in the future, come and accompany me more often. Otherwise I will be bored." Cheng Minjing nodded. She knew that what Shen Jingxian said was the truth. If she went to number 1 middle school from here, it was relatively far. Number 2 middle school was relatively close. Yi Xiaoya sat there without saying a word. She ate the food that Xiao Chun served. After eating, she went upstairs. After she left, Shen Jingxian whispered to Cheng Minjing, "That Yi Xiaoya, Minjing, you should be careful. She doesn't have good intentions. Don't let her have any thoughts about Xiao Chun. You will be the one who suffers." "Ah, what does that have to do with me?" Cheng Minjing was stunned. She couldn't help but smile. "If Xiao Chun is willing, he can go. I don't want to resume the engagement with him. Now I have a reason to refuse." Shen Jingxian shook her head. She felt that Cheng Minjing did not mean what she said. When she really knew the truth, she would not think so. After the meal, Shen Jingxian called a taxi and went to number 1 middle school. Xiao Chun drove Cheng Minjing to school in his Land Rover. "Xiao Chun," Cheng Minjing said. Xiao Chun glanced at Cheng Minjing. "Nothing." Cheng Minjing hesitated and didn't know what to say. "Miss Cheng, what do you want to say?" Xiao Chun couldn't help but smile bitterly. "This Wednesday, I heard that Tang Tang and Yu Xiaochuan are engaged." Cheng Minjing thought about it and decided to tell the news to Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun's hand holding the steering wheel slightly trembled. Although he knew that Yu Xiaochuan's sexual orientation had a problem, he was still a little afraid that Yu Xiaochuan would do something to Tang Tang as usual. Engaged so soon? Xiao Chun didn't expect that Tang Tang, who was selling breakfast in the morning market not long ago, would get married in a blink of an eye. "Did you get the invitation?" Xiao Chun asked. "No, I just got the news. Jingxian told me to tell you," Cheng Minjing said. "It seems that Jingxian also knows that you like Tang Tang. You should stop pestering her. Her boyfriend is White Fox. Be careful, he can kill you with one finger." Hee. Xiao Chun couldn't help but smile. It seemed that Shen Jingxian was still very concerned about him. But Xiao Chun didn't understand Shen Jingshuan's approach. Logically speaking, she should be jealous of the things between him and Tang Tang. But why did it seem that Shen Jingxian took the initiative to help him? She even told me about the engagement? Was she asking me to prepare in advance? What are you laughing at? Don't think so much. Some things can't be changed. You like her, but you don't have a chance. Jingxian and Tang Tang are the same. You should be honest in the future, Cheng Minjing said to him. Xiao Chun nodded. I will be honest and guard you. Why are you guarding me? Cheng Minjing's face was slightly red. To guard you and be your manservant, Xiao Chun said. Oh, Cheng Minjing nodded and didn't say anything. The car came all the way to the number 1 middle school. Just when it stopped in the parking lot, a person rushed out from the side. Looking at his aggressive look, Xiao Chen thought that he was going to kick his car. But after the guy ran over, he just respectfully opened the door for Xiao Chen. Lu Zhenming. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. Boss Xiao Chen, good morning. Hello, Miss Cheng. Lu Zhenming said eagerly. Cheng Minjing's face was inexplicable. What was Lu Zhenming up to again? He was waiting in the parking lot early in the morning. Could he be plotting something? However, Xiao Chen was slightly stunned and understood why he was here. In fact, the reason was very simple. Yesterday, Xiao Chen said that he was the follower of the White Fox. Naturally, Lu Zhenming came to follow him. Well, I am also the follower of the White Fox. He said hello to me and told me about you. You should behave well in the future and stop pursuing Cheng Minjing. She was my fiancée. If you pursue my boss's woman, how can I live with my face? Xiao Chen said to Lu Zhenming. Of course. Lu Zhenming nodded quickly. In fact, compared to being able to rely on the White Fox, Cheng Minjing was really nothing. So Lu Zhenming agreed directly without any complaints. And okay, you go back first. There is nothing for you to do here. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said, Okay. Lu Zhenming ran to the teaching building. Cheng Minjing looked at Xiao Chen with some confusion. When did the White Fox become your boss? Oh, it was when I called yesterday, said Xiao Chen. Cheng Minjing couldn't help but frown after listening. You have no ambition. You used to pursue Shen Jingxian. Now that Shen Jingxian has become someone else's girlfriend, you recognize that person as your boss. I really don't know what you are thinking. Aren't I looking for a backer for myself? Otherwise, there will be people who want to deal with me all day long. I can't deal with it, said Xiao Chen. Oh, Cheng Minjing didn't say anything more. She just felt a little weird. She and Shen Jingxian were best friends. If she and Xiao Chen resumed their engagement in the future, then Xiao Chen would be Shen Jingxuan's fiancé's underling. This made Cheng Minjing feel inferior. Xiao Chen also felt that Cheng Minjing was unhappy, but there were some things that couldn't be explained for the time being. At least, the fact that the White Fox was him couldn't be exposed for the time being. He thought that he was already standing in a high position in Songning City, but he didn't expect that Xiao Ens would launch an investigation on him because of Li Shanying's matter. He didn't know if Leng Youxiang's sect would let it go and send people to cause trouble for him. Xiao Chen's guess was right. Leng Youxiang was an outstanding figure in the sect. How could the sect let it go when he was killed during the Righteous Demonic Summit in Songning City? Even if they didn't act rashly on the surface, they had already taken action in secret. On this day, 2 uninvited guests came to the Demonic Star sect. These 2 people came from Leng Youxiang's sect, the Extreme Ice sect. One was Elder Fong of the Extreme Ice sect, and the other was another outstanding disciple of the Extreme Ice sect, Leng Youxiang's junior. Although he was a junior, his talent and strength weren't any worse than Leng Youxiang's. This person, called Chen Yuhan, also had the strength of a demonic cultivator at the peak of Stage 8 internal force. However, the sect used to publicize itself as Leng Youxiang, and Chen Yuhan rarely appeared in front of others. However, after Leng Youxiang died, the sect began to nurture Chen Yuhan. Intentionally or unintentionally, they would bring him out to gain experience. In the Demonic Star sect's guest hall, the person who received the 2 elders of the Extreme Ice sect was the deputy sect leader of the Demonic Star sect, Qi Xiangmei. She was also Yi Xiaoya's master. My friends from the Demonic Star sect have come from afar. May I know what's the matter? Qi Xiangmei asked straightforwardly. In fact, she had already vaguely guessed what was going on. After all, Leng Youxiang was killed during the Righteous Demonic Summit. How big of a deal was that? The news spread quickly in the Demonic Star sect. But what puzzled the Demonic Star sect the most was that they didn't have a disciple called the White Fox. Qi Xiangmei had already contacted Yi Xiaoya and asked her who the White Fox was. Yi Xiaoya also gave her a guess and answer, which put Qi Xiangmei in a dilemma. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.